Hello and welcome back guys, this is me Hassan Mohammadi, a non-native English speaker from English. Today, I'm going to teach you 504 absolutely essential words which are the most useful English words in daily life and academic purposes. For example, the word redeem.
To permit me to redeem my father's name by serving you in combat.
Epidemic.
This is a national emergency. This is an epidemic.
Majestic.
The eagle is a majestic bird.
If you can recognize and correctly use all of the words presented in this lesson, your chances for success on any English tests like TOEFL and IELTS are excellent. Keep watching, and to support me just click the like button. If you want to watch more videos from my channel, just subscribe to my channel. Thank you.
Abandon. Abandon. Abandon means quit or leaving without coming back. For example, when Roy abandoned his family, the police went looking for him. The soldier could not abandon his friends who were hurt in battle. Because Rose was poor, she had to abandon her idea of going to college.
She would abandon you if she knew. She would abandon you if she knew.
Abandon ship! Abandon ship!
Reluctantly, she is beginning to abandon all hope.
Keen. Keen. Keen means eager or something which is sharp like knife. For example, the butcher's keen knife cut through the meat. My dog has a keen sense of smell. Bill's keen mind pleased all his teachers.
Are you keen on football? Are you keen on football?
She wasn't too keen on it. She wasn't too keen on it.
Jealous. Jealous. Afraid that one you love might prefer someone else or wanting what someone else has. For example, a detective was hired by a jealous widow to find the boyfriend who had abandoned her. Although my neighbor bought a new car, I'm not jealous of him. Being jealous, Muna would not let her boyfriend dance with any of the cheerleaders.
They're so happy.
I'm so jealous.
They're so happy.
I'm so jealous.
Why, are you jealous? Why, are you jealous?
Hey my friend, I made a lot of efforts to create this video. To support me, just click the like button. Thank you so much for your like, my friend. Tact. Tact. Ability to say the right thing. For example, my aunt never hurts anyone's feelings because she always uses tact. Using tact, Janet was able to calm her jealous husband. Your friends will admire you if you use tact and thoughtfulness.
As ever, the soul of tact. As ever, the soul of tact.
No evasion, no tact. No evasion, no tact.
Oath. Oath. A promise that something is true. For example, the president will take the oath of office tomorrow. In court, the witness took an oath that he would tell the whole truth. When Terry discovered that he had been abandoned, he let out an angry oath.
You're under oath, Barbara. You're under oath, Barbara.
Honoring my oath as a nurse, Senator. Honoring my oath as a nurse, Senator.
Vacant. Vacant. Vacant means empty or not filled. For example, someone is planning to build a house on that vacant lot. I put my coat on that vacant seat. When the landlord broke in, he found that apartment vacant.
Yes. There's a vacant apartment up there. Yes. There's a vacant apartment up there.
She goes in the vacant room, right? She goes in the vacant room, right?
Hardship. Hardship. Hardship means difficulty or something that is hard to bear. For example, the fighter had to face many hardships before he became champion. Jack was able to overcome one hardship after another. Because of hardship, Bid was let out of the army to take care of his sick mother.
It must have produced hardship. It must have produced hardship.
I became a Marine for the hardship. I became a Marine for the hardship.
Gallant. Gallant. Showing respect for women or someone who is brave. For example, the pilot swore a gallant oath to save his friend. Many gallant knights entered the contest to win the princess. It is so gallant that he always gives up his subway seat to a woman.
I was with my gallant protector, Sung Ching. I was with my gallant protector, Sung Ching.
God give you joy, sir, of your gallant bride. God give you joy, sir, of your gallant bride.
Data. Data. Data means facts or information. For example, the data about the bank robbery were given to the FBI. After studying the data, we were able to finish our report. Unless you are given all the data, you cannot do the math problem.
I pretty much run the computer data department.
Unaccustomed. Unaccustomed. Not used to something. For example, coming from Alaska, Jimmy was unaccustomed to Florida's heat. The king was unaccustomed to having people disobey him. Unaccustomed as he was to exercise, Vay quickly became tired.
Unaccustomed to speaking in public as I am. Unaccustomed to speaking in public as I am.
As if you were unaccustomed to wearing it. As if you were unaccustomed to wearing it.
Bachelor. Bachelor. Bachelor means single or a man who has not married. For example, my brother took an oath to remain a bachelor. In the move, the married man was mistaken for a bachelor. Before the wedding, all his bachelor friends had a party.
Bachelors are supposed to be untidy, aren't they? Bachelors are supposed to be untidy, aren't they?
He's the number 8 richest bachelor under 30 in America. He's the number 8 richest bachelor under 30 in America.
Qualify. Qualify. Show that someone is able to do something. For example, I'm trying to qualify for the job that is now vacant. You must be taller than 5.5 feet to qualify as a police officer in our town.
So I don't qualify for OT.
This corpse. Corpse. Corpse means a dead body, usually a person. For example, when given all the data on the corpse, the professor was able to solve the murder. The corpse later raised in the vacant coffin.
Looks like a fucking corpse. Looks like a fucking corpse.
Really? When was the last time you stabbed a corpse? Really? When was the last time you stabbed a corpse?
Conceal. Conceal. Conceal means hide. Trace could not conceal his love for Gloria. Mayor Thompson wanted to conceal the fact that she is a millionaire.
We can't conceal that you were a trainee. We can't conceal that you were a trainee.
Dismal. Dismal. Dismal means dark and depressing. When the weather is so dismal, I sometimes stay in the bed all day. The dismal song of a bird that has lost her mate made me sad.
The building was a dismal heap of brick on a dark street. The building was a dismal heap of brick on a dark street.
Frigid. Frigid. Frigid means very cold. For example, the northern part of Canada becomes frigid in winter. Inside the butcher's freezers, the temperature was frigid.
I'm frigid. I'm frigid.
I don't see why she has to be frigid.
Inhabit. Inhabit. Inhabit means live in. For example, Eskimos inhabit the fried part of Alaska. Amazon forest inhabited by the various birds and animals.
You inhabit two worlds. You inhabit two worlds.
How many people inhabit this place?
3.
How many people inhabit this place?
3.
Numb. Numb. Insensitive or without the power of feeling. My fingers quickly became numb in the frigid room. When the nurse stuck a pin in my numb leg, I felt nothing.
My hands. My fingers are numb. My hands. My fingers are numb.
Do your legs hurt? Do they feel numb? Do your legs hurt? Do they feel numb?
Peril. Peril. Peril means danger. There is a great peril in trying to climb the mountain. Our library is filled with stories of perilous adventure.
And it is not without peril. And it is not without peril.
Preach my levy at your peril.
Preach my levy at your peril.
Recline. Recline. Recline means lie down or lean back. Richard likes to recline in front of the television set. My dog's greatest pleasure is to recline by the warm fireplace.
Don't sit on the pediment, recline. Don't sit on the pediment, recline.
Shriek. Shriek. Shriek means scream. The house cleaner shrieked when she discovered the corpse. With a loud shriek, Ronald fled from the room.
Just heard that tree shriek. Just heard that tree shriek.
Was it the shriek? Was it the shriek?
You didn't hear that shriek? You didn't hear that shriek?
This tempt. Tempt. Tempt means try to get someone to do something. It is like testing or inviting someone to do something. For example, a piece of pizza can tempt me to break my diet. Your offer of a job tempts me greatly.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
He has been sent first to tempt you. He has been sent first to tempt you.
Wager. Wager. Wager means bet. I lost a wager on the Super Bowl. After winning the wager, Jack treated everyone to free drinks.
I made a new wager, Boyka. I made a new wager, Boyka.
How can you wager on this when you control the outcome? How can you wager on this when you control the outcome?
Typical. Typical. Typical means usual. For example, the horse ran its typical race, a slow start and slower finish, and my ankle lost his bait. It is typical to say hello when we meet each other. Minimum. Minimum. Minimum means the least possible amount or the lowest amount. Studies show that adults need a minimum of 6 hours sleep. The minimum charge for a telephone, even if no calls are made, is about $60 a month. Scare. Scare. Scare means rare or something which is hard to get. Cars that are older than 100 years are scare. How scare are good cooks? Annual. Annual. Annual means something that happens once a year, like birthday. For example, plants that live only 1 year are called annuals. The annual convention of musicians takes place in Hollywood. Persuade. Persuade. Persuade means to enforce or to oblige. For example, I persuaded him to study medicine. He persuaded us that this car is better, and we bought it. Essential. Essential. It means necessary or very important. The best and simple example for essential is this. We are learning 504 absolutely essential words. It is essential to follow the rules. Blend. Blend. It means mixture or mixed together thoroughly. For example, the color of rainbow blend into one another. A careful blend of fine products will result in delicious food. Visible. Visible. Visible means able to be seen. Burj Khalifa in Dubai is visible from many kilometers of distance. Macs used to become visible only when there was nothing important to do. Expensive. Expensive. It means high-priced. For example, diamonds are one of the most expensive things in the world. In California, houses are becoming expensive. Talent. Talent. Talent means natural ability or capacity for achievements. Big companies like Microsoft and Google hires most talented people. High-paid employees are talented in many fields. Devise. Devise. Devise means plan or invent. Pay attention to this. Devise and device are not the same. Tesla Incorporation devised a new cars that moves with electricity. Chinese scientists devised a new instrument for measuring temperature. Wholesale. Wholesale. Wholesale means in large quantity or less than retail in price. For example, by buying my notebooks and pens wholesale, I can save $60. Many people were angered by the wholesale slaughter of birds. Vapor. Vapor. Vapor means fog, mist, or a mass of very small drops of liquid which float in the air. For example, scientists have devised methods for trapping vapor in the bottle so they can study its makeup. He has gathered data on the amount of vapor rising from the swamp. Eliminate. Eliminate. Eliminate has 3 different meanings and usages. The first one is to completely get rid of something that is unnecessary or unwanted. For example, there is no solution that will eliminate the possibility of theft. The second meaning is to defeat a team or person in a competition. For example, our team was eliminated in the first round. The third meaning is to kill someone to prevent them from causing trouble. For example, a ruthless dictator who eliminated all his rivals. Remember that in everyday English people usually say get rid of rather than eliminate. For example, it is almost impossible to get rid of the problems of society. Villain. Villain. Villain means a bad person or the main bad character in a film or a story. For example, a good man in an evil society seems the greatest villain of all. The villain concealed the corpse in the underground. The next word is dense. Dense. Dense means compacted, compressed, or something that is closely packed together. For example, his keen knife cut through dense jungle. But in the informal form, dense means not able to understand things easily, like stupid. For example, am I being dense? I don't quite understand. In technique, dense means a substance that is dense has a lot of mass in relation to its size. For example, water is 800 times denser than air. Utilize. Utilize. Utilize means take advantage of something or make use of something. For example, the company had developed a new way to utilize solar energy. But in everyday English, people usually say use rather than utilize. For example, the money will be utilized to build a new sports hall. The money will be used to build a new sports hall. Humid. Humid. Humid means damp, muggy, or it means very wet and hot weather. For example, Tokyo is extremely humid in midsummer. It means Tokyo has wet and hot weather in the summer. This humid weather gives me a headache. Theory. Theory. Theory means an idea that has not yet been proved to be true. For example, different theories about how brain works. Darwin's theory of evolution. I'm taking a course on political theory. Descend. Descend. Descend means go or come down from a higher place to a lower level. For example, if you let the air out of the balloon, it will have to descend. The pilot, thinking his plane was in danger, descended quickly. Circulate. Circulate. Circulate means to move around within a system. For example, swimming helps to get the blood circulating the muscles. Hot water circulates through the pipes in the building, keeping the room warm. Enormous. Enormous. Enormous, huge or extremely large. For example, Jack lives in an enormous house. It means Jack lives in a large house. The Gallant King drew his sword and killed the enormous dragon. Predict. Predict. Predict means tell beforehand or saying the result of something before it's happening. For example, I predict that it will be a boy. It means the baby is not born yet, but we say the gender of the baby beforehand. Snow is predict for tomorrow. Vanish. Vanish. Vanish means disappear or hide. The sun vanished behind the cloud. Give him a week without a job and all his money will vanish. Tradition. Tradition. Tradition refers to a custom or belief that is passed down through generations. It can also refer to a long-established practice. For example, Thanksgiving dinner is a tradition in many American households. The wedding ceremony followed traditional customs and rituals. Rural. Rural describes an area or countryside that is located outside of cities or towns. It typically implies a sparser population and focus on agricultural activities. For example, my grandparents live in a small rural village surrounded by farmland. The rural landscape is characterized by rolling hills and open fields. The word number 3 is burden. Burden. Burden refers to the heavy load or a source of difficulty, responsibility, or worry. For example, she carried the burden of caring for her sick parents. The financial burden of his student loans weighed heavily on his shoulders. Number 4 is campus. Campus. Campus refers to the grounds and buildings of a college, university, or a school. For example, the campus of the university is spacious and beautiful. Students often gather in the campus library to study and collaborate. The word number 5 is majority. Majority. Majority refers to the greater part or the larger number of something. It suggests that more than half a group or population possesses a particular characteristics or opinion. For example, the majority of the students voted in favor of extending the school day. In most countries, the majority of people speak the national language. Number 6 is assemble. Assemble. Assemble means to gather or bring together people or things in one place or group. For example, we will assemble in the conference room for the meeting at 10 p.m. Explore. Explore. Explore means to examine or travel to discover or learn about something new. For example, they decided to explore the ancient ruins during their vacation. The students were encouraged to explore different career options. Topic. Topic. Topic refers to the subject of a conversation, discussion, a piece of writing, or any form of communication. For example, the professor introduced a new topic for class discussion. The book covers a wide range of topics related to environmental conservation. Debate. Debate. Debate means discussing or arguing different points of view on a particular topic, often in a formal setting. For example, the candidates engaged in a heated debate during the political campaign. The students debated the pros and cons of using social media in the classroom. Probe. Probe. Probe refers to a thorough investigation or exploration of something, often to gather information or uncover details. For example, the detective used a probe to search for evidence at the crime scene. The journalist conducted a probe into the company's financial practices. Reform. Reform. Reform means to make changes or improvements to something in order to correct problems. For example, the government implemented reforms to improve the education system. The organization is working on a proposal to reform its internal policies. Approach. Approach. Approach means to come near or closer to something or someone to make contact or initiate communication. For example, John approached the teacher after class to ask a question. The company decided to approach their clients with a new marketing strategy. Detect. Detect. Detect means to discover or identify the presence or existence of something. For example, the security system detected movement outside the house. The doctor detected a slight irregularity in the patient's heartbeat. Defect. Defect. Defect means a flaw or imperfection in something or someone. For example, the car had a manufacturing defect that caused the brakes to malfunction. The company recalled the product due to a defect in its design. The next word is employee. Employee. Employee means a person who works for someone else or a company in exchange for salary. For example, the company hired several new employees to handle the increased workload. Molly has been a loyal employee of the company for over 10 years. The next word is neglect. Neglect. Neglect means give too little care or attention to something or someone. For example, the landlord neglected to repair the leaking roof, causing further damage to the house. It is essential that you do not neglect your homework. Deceive. Deceive. Deceive means make someone believe as true to something that is false. For example, the scammer deceived the elderly couple into giving him their life savings. Sarah was hurt when she discovered that her best friend had deceived her about a secret. Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly means certainly or without a doubt. For example, the team's star player was undoubtedly the key to their victory. The new restaurant with its unique decoration was undoubtedly the talk of the town. The next word is popular. Popular. Popular means famous or someone who is liked by most people. For example, the popular TV show attracted millions of viewers every week. Ronaldo and Messi are the most popular people around the world. Throw. Throw. Throw means complete or being all that is needed. For example, our teacher asked me to write my detailed and thorough biography. The police made a thorough search of the house after the crime had been reported. Client. Client. Client means customer or a person that receives services. For example, Elon Musk tried to get Google to be a client of his company. If you do not improve your services, all your clients will vanish. Comprehensive. Comprehensive. Comprehensive means complete. For example, the textbook provides a comprehensive overview of world history. We offer our customers a comprehensive range of financial products. Defraud. Defraud. Defraud means take money and rights by cheating. For example, she was caught attempting to defraud the company. By defrauding his friends, Jack ruined a family tradition of honesty. Postpone. Postpone. Postpone means to delay or reschedule something to a later time or date. For example, the young couple wanted to postpone their wedding until they were sure they could handle the burdens of marriage. I had to postpone my vacation because of an unexpected work assignment. Consent. Consent. It means to give permission or agree to something. For example, she asked for my consent before using my photographs in her presentation. My father would not consent to our plan. Massive. Massive. It means very large in size or quantity. For example, the earthquake caused a massive destruction to the city. The company announced a massive discount on its products for the holiday season. Capsule. Capsule. It means a small container or covering. For example, the medicine is available in capsule form for easy consumption. She carried a small capsule containing her important documents. Preserve. Preserve. It means to protect or to keep safe. For example, it is important to preserve historical artifacts for future generations. The organization works to preserve forests. Denounce. Denounce. It means to publicly condemn or to give information to the police or another authority about someone's illegal political activities. For example, the organization issued a statement to denounce the government's action. She denounced him to the police. Unique. Unique. Unique means being the only one of its kind. For example, each person's fingerprints are unique. Ronaldo and Messi are unique between all football players. Torrent. Torrent. Torrent means a large amount of water moving very quickly and strongly in a particular direction. After 5 days of heavy rain, the river was a very violent torrent. After the heavy rain, the river turned into a torrent, making it dangerous to cross. Resent. Resent. It means to feel angry or upset about a situation or about something that someone has done. For example, he resented having to work overtime without any additional payment. She bitterly resented his mother's influence over him. Molest. Molest. Molest means to attack or harm someone, especially a child, by touching them in a sexual way. The woman reported her neighbor for molesting her in the elevator. My neighbor was molested when walking home from the subway. Gloomy. Gloomy. Gloomy means dark and depressing, especially in a way that makes you feel sad. For example, it was a gloomy room with one small window. John's Beach is not so beautiful on gloomy day. Unforeseen. Unforeseen. Unforeseen means unexpected. For example, due to unforeseen situation, the play has been cancelled. The sudden change in weather created unforeseen challenges for the outdoor event. Exaggerate. Exaggerate. Exaggerate means to overstate or to make someone greater than it is. For example, personally I think society exaggerates the importance of marriage. Don't exaggerate the size of the fish you caught. It was just a small one. Immature. Immature. Immature means a non-professional person or someone who you think is not very skilled at something. For example, John is an immature photographer who loves taking pictures in his spare time. The play was performed by a group of talented amateurs from the local theater club. Mediocre. Mediocre. Mediocre means neither good nor bad, means average. For example, the movie wasn't a great one, it was only mediocre. Despite his efforts, his performance in the game was mediocre compared to his usual standards. Variety. Variety. Variety means a number of different things. For example, the supermarket offers a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. The variety of people are living in the USA. Valid. Valid. Valid means acceptable or well-founded. For example, your passport will be valid if it has not expired. You are not valid to apply to US scholarships if you didn't take the TOEFL test. Survive. Survive. Survive means to continue to live after an accident. For example, in 2008, when our plane crashed, only 12 of 140 passengers survived. Only one building in the town have survived from the earthquake. Weird. Weird. Weird means strange or not easily explainable or understood. For example, historical places are weird and wonderful. Sarah has a weird habit of collecting unusual things. Prominent. Prominent. Prominent means important or noticeable. For example, her beautiful eyes are the prominent feature of her face. The artist's work is displayed in prominent galleries around the world. Security. Security. Security means the state of being protected from harm or danger. For example, the security guard checked everyone's identification before allowing them to enter the building. Parenting is about giving your child security and love. Bulky. Bulky. Something that is bulky is bigger than other things of its type and is difficult to carry or move. For example, the package was too bulky to fit into the mailbox. The massive disc was quite bulky and impossible to carry. Reluctant. Reluctant. Reluctant means unwilling to do something. For example, my friend was reluctant to ask for help because he didn't want to appear weak. My father is reluctant to talk about his childhood. Obvious. Obvious. Obvious means easily understood or clear. For example, it is obvious that sun rises in the east. The answer to the math problem was so obvious that everyone in the class knew it. Vicinity. Vicinity. Vicinity refers to the area near a particular place. For example, I live in the vicinity of the park, so I can take a break every day. The stolen car was found in the vicinity of the hospital. Century. Century. Century means a period of 100 years. For example, the Eiffel Tower was built in the late 19th century. The boats were built in the last century. Rage. Rage. Rage means a strong feeling of uncontrollable anger. For example, she fell into a rage and threw all the dishes out of the window. Jack's bad manner sent her mother into rage. Document. Document. It refers to a written, printed, or electronic piece of information or record. For example, please make sure to read the document carefully before signing it. The historian spent years researching and analyzing various historical documents to write her book. Conclude. Conclude. Conclude means to end something such as a meeting, book, event, or a speech by doing or saying one final thing. For example, the meeting will conclude with a summary of the main points discussed. Max concluded his essay with a poem. Undeniable. Undeniable. Undeniable means obvious, clear, or it describes something that cannot be denied or disputed. For example, the impact of climate change on the environment is undeniable. It is undeniable that Ronaldo and Messi are the best football players. Resist. Resist. Resist means against or to stop yourself from having something that you like very much. For example, it is hard to resist the temptation of eating a piece of chocolate cake. The proposal was strongly resisted by the police. Lake. Lake. Lake refers to the absence of something, or when there is not enough of something. For example, lack of water in Africa is one of the big problems. Studies show that new parents are suffering from lack of sleep. Ignore. Ignore. It means to pay no attention to something or someone. For example, I would not ignore the fact that you are suffering from your job. The teacher warned the students not to ignore the homework assignments. Challenge. Challenge. It can be used as a noun or a verb and denotes a difficult task or a call to prove or test one's abilities. For example, climbing Mount Everest is a significant challenge for experienced mountaineers. She challenged him to a game of chess to see who was the better player. Miniature. Miniature. Miniature means a small painting, usually of a person. It describes something that is very small in size, often a representation of a larger object. For example, the young boy wanted a miniature sports car for his birthday. The artist painted a beautiful miniature portrait of her pet cat. Source. Source. It refers to the origin, cause, or place from which something comes. For example, the library is a great source of information for research papers. The company's main source of revenue is its online sales platform. Excel. Excel. Excel means be better than someone or do better than someone or to be exceptionally good at something. For example, Sarah excels in mathematics and always gets the highest grades in her class. Because Larry was so small, he could not excel in sports. Feminine. Feminine. Feminine means having qualities or characteristics traditionally associated with women or girls. Feminine used about qualities that are considered to be typical of women. For example, she wore a beautiful feminine dress to the party. The author's writing style is often described as feminine because she explores themes of emotions and relationships. Mount. Mount. To climb a hill, mountain, or to go up a step or stairs. For example, Congressman Jones mounted the platform to make his speech. The cyclist mounted his bike and started pedaling uphill. Compete. Compete. Compete means to try to gain something and stop someone else from having it or having as much of it. For example, the two teams will compete against each other in the basketball tournament. The singers competed in a talent show, hoping to impress the judges and win the grand prize. Dread. Dread. Dread means to worry about something that is going to happen or may happen. For example, I've got an interview tomorrow and I'm dreading it. The students dreaded the upcoming exam because they had not studied enough. Masculine. Masculine. Masculine means having qualities considered to be typical of men or of what men do. For example, she has a very masculine voice that commands attention. The action movie is known for its intense fight scenes and masculine energy. Menace. Menace. Menace means threat, warning, something or someone that is dangerous. For example, your aggressive dog was a menace to the neighborhood, often chasing people on the street. The storm clouds gathered overhead, signaling a menace of heavy rain and strong winds. Tendency. Tendency. If someone or something has a tendency to do or become a thing, they are likely to do or become it. For example, Sarah has a tendency to be shy and prefers to spend time alone. The tendency in all human beings is to try to survive. Underestimate. Underestimate. It means to think that someone is not as good as they really are, or to think or guess that something is smaller, cheaper, easier than it really is. For example, we underestimated how long it would take to get there. Jane's colleagues underestimated her ability to lead the project, but she proved them wrong by delivering excellent results. Victorious. Victorious. Victorious means having achieved victory or success in a competition or battle. For example, the team celebrated their victorious win in the championship game. In the last match, Jack was the captain of the victorious team. Numerous. Numerous. Numerous means a large number, plentiful, or many in quantity. For example, the library has numerous books on various subjects. The company received numerous applications for the job opening. Flexible. Flexible. Things that are flexible can change or be changed easily. For example, yoga helps improve flexibility and strength in the body. The project deadline was changed, but the team was flexible enough to accommodate the new timeline. Evidence. Evidence. Evidence refers to facts, information, or proof that supports a claim or belief. For example, the detective found fingerprints at the crime scene as evidence. Police experts are still collecting evidence at the scene of the crime. Solitary. Solitary. Solitary describes something or someone that is alone, isolated, or prefers to be alone. For example, we enjoy taking long solitary walks in the countryside. Jack spent years in solitary when his wife passed away. Vision. Vision. Vision can refer to the ability to see or the act of seeing, but it can also mean a plan or goal for the future. For example, my vision started to blur and I couldn't see clearly. The company's vision is to become a leader in sustainable technology. Frequent. Frequent. Frequent means happening or doing something often. For example, she is a regular customer and visits my restaurant frequently. Coughs and colds are frequent among young children. Glimpse. Glimpse. Glimpse means a quick or brief look at something or someone. For example, my teacher glimpsed at my paper, then threw it away. I had a glimpse of her and then she disappeared in the crowd. Recent. Recent. Recent means happening in the near past or not long ago. For example, I read an interesting article in a recent edition of the newspaper. Our company launched a new product in the recent months. Decade. Decade. A decade is a period of 10 years. For example, she has been living in the city for over a decade. The decade of the 80s was good for the American economy. Hesitate. Hesitate. Hesitate means to pause before saying or doing something because you are not sure. For example, every person who hesitated lost the opportunity. She hesitated to accept the job offer because of the long working hours. Absurd. Absurd. Absurd means ridiculous, completely stupid or unreasonable. For example, the idea of a flying pig is absurd. It is absurd to think that she would travel to the moon by the end of the week. Conflict. Conflict. Conflict refers to a disagreement, a clash, or a struggle between opposing forces or ideas. For example, it is impossible to resolve the conflict between employee and employer. There is a conflict between his personal beliefs and the requirements of his job. Minority. Minority. Minority refers to a smaller number or a smaller part of a whole group or population. For example, they do not respect the rights of religious minorities. Only a minority of students preferred the new school policy. Fiction. Fiction. Fiction refers to novel, romance, story or books and stories about imaginary people and events. For example, my brother has written many works of fiction. The movie was based on a fictional story about a secret way of learning English language. Ignite. Ignite. Ignite means to start burning or to make something start burning. For example, the petrol tank suddenly ignited. The rocket was ignited by remote control. Abolish. Abolish. Abolish means to officially end or put an end to something such as a law, system, or practice. For example, the government decided to abolish the outdated tax policy. Slavery was abolished in the US in 19th century. Urban. Urban. Urban refers to characteristics related to cities or towns. For example, air pollution is bad in urban areas. The New York City has undergone significant urban development in recent years. Population. Population. Population refers to the total number of people living in a particular area or country. For example, our country's population is about 35 million people. The government implemented programs to control the population growth. Frank. Frank. Frank describes someone who is open, honest, and straightforward in expressing their thoughts or opinions. For example, I'm completely frank when I'm teaching English. Sarah's frank admission helped resolve the misunderstandings. Pollute. Pollute. Pollute means to make something dirty or harmful, especially the environment. For example, factories that release toxic chemicals into river are polluting the water. Car emissions contribute to air pollution in urban areas. To motivate me to create more videos, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the bell. Reveal. Reveal. Reveal means to make something known or visible that was previously hidden or secret. For example, the detective finally revealed the identity of the murderer. The magician performed a trick and then revealed how it was done. Prohibit. Prohibit. Prohibit means to disallow something officially. For example, smoking is prohibited in this building. The school prohibits the use of mobile phones during class. Urgent. Urgent. Urgent describes something that requires immediate attention or action. For example, please contact me as soon as possible. It is an urgent matter. The doctor was called in for an urgent surgery. A decade. A decade. A decade means sufficient or enough to meet a particular need or requirement. For example, the hotel provided adequate accommodations for all the guests. She studied diligently to ensure she had an adequate understanding of the subject. Decrease. Decrease. Decrease means to reduce or to become smaller in quantity, size, or intensity. For example, they decided to decrease the price of the product to attract more customers. The temperature gradually decreased as winter approached. Audible. Audible. A sound that is audible is loud enough for you to hear it. For example, when you were talking, your words wasn't clearly audible. Please speak louder, your voice is not audible. Journalist. Journalist. A journalist is a person who gathers and reports news for newspapers, magazines, television, or online platforms. For example, I worked as a journalist on the New York Times for 2 years. My sister wants to become a journalist and report on global events. Famine. Famine. Famine means a situation in which a large number of people have little or no food for a long time and many people die. For example, millions of people of Africa are in famine. The relief organization sends supplies to the region affected by the famine. Revive. Revive. To revive means to bring back to life or restore something to its former state or condition. For example, the economy is beginning to revive in the USA. The rain revived the wilting plants in the garden. Commence. Commence. Commence means to begin or start something. For example, the ceremony will commence with a speech by the school principal. The construction of the new building will commence next month. Observant. Observant. Observant describes someone who is attentive, watchful, or perspective. For example, supervisors are trained to be observant. Sarah is an observant employee who always pays attention to details. Identify. Identify. Identify means to recognize or establish the identity of someone or something. For example, the detective used fingerprint analysis to identify the suspect. Can you identify the author of this famous novel? Migrate. Migrate. Migrate means to move from one place to another, often seasonally, in search of better living conditions or resources. For example, every winter, thousands of birds migrate to warmer regions. The family decided to migrate to a different country for a better job opportunities. Vessel. Vessel. Vessel can refer to a ship or a large boat used for transportation, or it can also refer to a container or object used to hold liquids. For example, the cargo vessel transported goods across the ocean. It is a scientific fact that empty vessels make the most noise. Persist. Persist. Persist means to continue in an action or belief despite opposition or difficulty. For example, despite the setbacks, he persisted in pursuing his dream of becoming a doctor. If the pain persists, you must see a doctor. Hazy. Hazy. Hazy describes something that is unclear, indistinct, or blurred. For example, the view from the mountain top was hazy due to the fog. His memories of the event were hazy after so many years. Gleam. Gleam. Gleam means the brightness of something that shines. For example, have you ever seen the gleam of gold and diamonds? She noticed a gleam of excitement in his eyes when he saw the surprise. Editor. Editor. An editor is a person who reviews and prepares written or visual content for a publication. For example, I will hire an editor for my YouTube channel. Here is John Depp, our diplomatic editor, with the latest news. Unruly. Unruly. Unruly means something that is difficult to control. For example, the unruly children refused to sit in the classroom. The unruly crowd caused chaos at the concert. Rival. Rival. Rival means a person or group competing with another for the same objective or superiority. For example, the two companies were first rivals in the smartphone market. Sarah and Elise have been rivals since childhood, always trying to outperform each other. Violent. Violent. Violent means involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill. For example, 31 people have been injured in violent incidents throughout the day. The movie contained a lot of violent scenes that were not suitable for young children. Brutal. Brutal. Brutal means very cruel and violent, or someone who is not pleasant and not sensitive to people's feelings. For example, the prisoners endured brutal treatment in the overcrowded jail. The boxer delivered a brutal punch that knocked his opponent unconscious. Opponent. Opponent. Opponent means a person or group that competes against another in a contest, game, or conflict. For example, Barack Obama is admired even by his political opponents. The politician's opponents criticized his policies during the debates. Brawl. Brawl. A fight among a group of people, especially in a public place. For example, the bar erupted into a brawl after a heated argument between two customers. The soccer match ended in a brawl when players from both teams got into a physical altercation. Duplicate. Duplicate. Duplicate means an exact copy of something. For example, please make a duplicate of this key so that I have a spare. The artist carefully created a duplicate of the famous painting. Vicious. Vicious. Very unkind in a way that is intended to hurt someone's feelings or make their character seem bad. For example, the dog turned vicious and attacked the intruder. She was shocked by the vicious tone in his voice. Whirling. Whirling. Whirling means spinning rapidly or moving in a circular motion. For example, the children laughed and screamed as they spun around in a whirling teacup ride. The leaves were caught in a whirling vortex of wind during the storm. Underdog. Underdog. Underdog means a person or team expected to lose or have disadvantage in a competition. For example, despite being the underdog, the local soccer team managed to defeat the national champions. The underdog in the boxing match surprised everyone by knocking out the heavily favored opponent. Thrust. Thrust. Thrust means to make a sudden movement forward with a sword or knife. For example, the king thrust his sword into the dragon's heart, defeating the mythical creature. Jack thrust the letter into his hands, demanding an explanation for his actions. Bewildered. Bewildered. Bewildered means confused or unable to understand that someone is saying or what is happening. For example, the tourist stood in the busy city center, bewildered and unsure of which direction to go. The complex math problem left the student bewildered, unable to find a solution. Expand. Expand. Expand means to become larger in size or quantity. For example, the company plans to expand its operations into new international markets. The balloon expanded as more air was pumped into it. Alter. Alter. Alter means to change something. For example, Alice decided to alter her dress 1 hour ago and I am still waiting for her. The architect proposed to alter the design of the building to include more windows. Mature. Mature. Mature means fully developed physically, mentally, or emotionally. As she grew older, she became more mature and responsible. My little sister is very mature for her age. Sacred. Sacred. Sacred means holy or related to God or religion, or something that is very important or greatly respected. For example, the temple is considered a sacred place of worship. They had no respect for everything I held sacred. Revise. Revise. Revise means to review, edit, or make changes to something. For example, the college has revised its plans because of local objections. A couple of sections of the book will need to be revised. Pledge. Pledge. Pledge means a serious promise or agreement, especially one made publicly or officially. For example, the students took a pledge to protect the environment and reduce waste. The politician made a pledge to improve healthcare for all citizens. Casual. Casual. Casual means relaxed, informal, or not serious. For example, she wore a casual outfit to the picnic consisting of jeans and a t-shirt. They had a casual conversation over coffee discussing their weekend plans. Pursue. Pursue. Pursue means to follow or chase something or to strive towards a goal. For example, she decided to pursue a career in medicine and enrolled in a medical school. The detective pursued the suspect through the crowded streets. Unanimous. Unanimous. Unanimous means agreeing completely about something. For example, it was decided by a unanimous vote that the school should close. The banks were unanimous in welcoming the news. Fortunate. Fortunate. Fortunate means having good luck. For example, she was fortunate to find a job right after graduating from college. Despite the accident, they considered themselves fortunate to have escaped with minor injuries. Pioneer. Pioneer. Pioneer means a person who is the first to explore or develop something new. For example, the new cancer treatment was pioneered in the early 80s by Dr. Sylvia Banerjee. The Tesla Incorporation is a pioneer in the development of electric cars. Innovative. Innovative. Innovative means creative or introducing new ideas, methods, or technologies. For example, the Apple company is known for its innovative approach to product design. The scientists' innovative research led to groundbreaking discoveries. Cylinder. Cylinder. Cylinder means thin or slim in form or shape. For example, she has a cylinder figure and is admired for her graceful appearance. Jennifer Lopez, American singer, is cylinder and stylish. Surpass. Surpass. Surpass means to go beyond an achievement, quality, or performance. For example, her test score surpassed those of all her classmates. We thought Jack unable to do the project, but he had surpassed all our expectations. Vast. Vast. Vast means extremely large. For example, the refugees come across the border in vast numbers. In the past 5 years, there has been a vast improvement in graduation rates. Doubt. Doubt. Doubt means a feeling of uncertainty or lack of belief. For example, I have some doubts about his ability to complete the project on time. There is no doubt that by working hard everything is possible. Capacity. Capacity. Capacity means the maximum amount or number that something can hold or contain. For example, the stadium has a seating capacity of 50,000 spectators. The cup has a capacity of 500 milliliters. Penetrate. Penetrate. Penetrate means to enter or pass through something, especially with force or difficulty. For example, few US companies have successfully penetrated the Japanese electronics market. Explorers penetrated deep into unknown regions. Pierce. Pierce. Pierce means go into or go through. For example, I tried to ignore his bad violin playing, but the sound was piercing. The arrow pierced the bullseye, scoring a perfect hit. Accurate. Accurate. Accurate means correct or exact in details or measurements. The scientists' measurements were accurate to the nearest millimeter. The weather forecast was accurate and it didn't rain as predicted. Microscope. Microscope. Microscope is an optical instrument used for viewing very small objects or details. For example, the biologists use a microscope to study cells and microorganisms. The student observed the intricate patterns of a leaf under the microscope. Grateful. Grateful, feeling or expressing gratitude or appreciation. For example, I am grateful for your help and support during a difficult time. She sent a thank you note to express her gratitude for the thoughtful gift. Cautious. Cautious means careful to avoid danger or risks. For example, the hiker took cautious steps to prevent falling. Doctors are understandably cautious about this new treatment. Confident. Having belief in oneself or one's abilities. Maria felt confident in his presentation skills and delivered a successful talk. I feel much more confident about myself and my abilities these days. Appeal means to attract or interest someone. It can also refer to making a request for something. For example, the colorful flowers in the garden appealed to the children. She made an appeal to her friends to help her with her school project. Addict. An addict is a person who is physically or mentally dependent on a particular substance or activity. For example, he is addicted to playing video games and he spends hours in front of the screen. Sarah's brother is a coffee addict and can't start his day without a cup of coffee. Wary. Someone who is wary is careful because they think something might be dangerous or harmful. For example, after hearing about the recent car thefts in the area, she became wary of parking her car on the street. The strange look in his eyes made me wary of accepting his offer. Aware means having knowledge or understanding about something. For example, she was aware of the approaching storm, so she brought an umbrella with her. He became aware of his mistake when his teacher pointed out during class. Misfortune refers to bad luck or an unfortunate event. For example, it was a misfortune that she lost her wallet on the way to the store. The family faced a misfortune when their house was damaged in a fire. Avoid. To stay away from someone or something or prevent something from happening. For example, to avoid getting wet, she carried an umbrella on a rainy day. He tries to avoid eating sugary foods to maintain a healthy diet. Wretched. Someone who is wretched is very unhappy and you feel sorry for them. For example, I was shocked to see their wretched living conditions. The poor village had wretched living conditions with no access to clean water. Keg. A round wooden or metal container with a flat top and bottom used for storing beer. For example, the party host rented a keg of beer to serve the guests. The workers rolled the keg of oil into the storage room. Nourish means to provide food or support for growth and development. For example, the cream contains vitamin A to nourish the skin. Eating a balanced diet with fruits and vegetables helps nourish the body. Harsh means unpleasant or unkind. For example, the law is harsh on people who go around menacing others. The harsh winter weather made it difficult to go outside without warm clothing. Quantity refers to an amount, number, or measurement of something. For example, she bought a large quantity of apples to make a pie for the family. The store offered a discount for purchasing a greater quantity of the products. Opt means to choose or decide to do something. For example, she decided to opt for the healthier option and ordered a salad instead of fries. He opted to take the train instead of driving to avoid traffic. Tragedy. A tragedy is a very sad or unfortunate event or situation. It often involves great suffering or loss. For For example, the car accident that claimed the lives of 3 people was a tragedy for their families. The sudden death of his beloved pet dog was a personal tragedy for Mike. Pedestrian. Pedestrian. Pedestrian has 2 different meanings. Firstly, it refers to a person who is walking on a street or sidewalk. Secondly, it can be used to describe something ordinary or lacking excitement. For example, the pedestrian crossed the road carefully at the designated crosswalk. The movie was quite pedestrian. It has a predictable plot and interesting characters. Glance. Glance. Glance means to quickly look at something or someone, usually for a short moment. For example, she glanced at her watch and realized she was running late for the meeting. The boy glanced out of the window to see if it was still raining. Budget. Budget. A budget is a plan that outlines how much money you have and how you plan to spend or save it. It helps you manage your finances. For example, I need to create a budget to keep track of my monthly expenses and savings. They decided to go on a budget vacation to save money. Nimble. Nimble. Nimble describes someone or something that is quick and light in movement or action. For example, the cat was nimble and agile as it jumped from one branch to another. The gymnast's nimble moves impressed the audiences. Manipulate. Manipulate. Manipulate means to control someone or something in a skillful or unfair manner. For example, the politician was accused of trying to manipulate the public's opinion through misleading statements. He managed to manipulate the puzzle pieces to fit perfectly together. Reckless. Reckless. Reckless describes someone who acts without thinking about the consequences, often taking unnecessary risks. For example, my friend was accused of causing death by reckless driving. Climbing the tree without any safety equipment is a reckless decision. Horrid. Horrid. Horrid means extremely unpleasant, terrible, or horrifying. For example, the smell in the room was horrid. It made everyone feel sick. My sister had a horrid dream that woke her up in the middle of the night. Rave. Rave. Rave can be used as a verb or a noun. As a verb, it means to express great admiration for something. As a noun, it refers to a large party or gathering with music and dancing. For example, she raved about the new restaurant, saying the food was amazing and the service was excellent. The music festival was a wild rave with thousands of people dancing and having a great time. Economical. Economical. Economical means using resources such as money or time efficiently and without waste. For example, buying in bulk is an economical way to save money. He chose the most economical road to avoid traffic and save time. Lubricate. Lubricate. Lubricate means to apply a substance such as oil or grease to reduce friction and make something move smoothly. For example, the mechanic lubricated the car engine to ensure it ran smoothly. The cyclist applied lubricant to the bike chain to prevent it from rusting and to improve its performance. Ingenious. Ingenious. Ingenious describes something or someone who is clever, creative, and inventive. For example, the engineer came up with an ingenious solution to the complex problem. The artist used an ingenious technique to create a stunning painting. Harvest. Harvest. Harvest means the time when crops are gathered from the fields or the act of gathering them. For example, farmers harvest their crops at the end of the summer. It means farmers collect their crops from the fields. We harvested fresh vegetables from the backyard garden. It means we gathered vegetables like tomatoes and cucumbers that we grew in our own garden. Abundant. Abundant. Abundant means existing or available in large quantities. For example, the forest is abundant with tall trees and colorful flowers. It means the forest has many tall trees and a variety of colorful flowers. During the rainy season, there is an abundant supply of water. It means there is a lot of water available during the rainy season. Uneasy. Uneasy. Uneasy means feeling worried about something. For example, Sarah felt uneasy about giving a presentation in front of a large audience. It means Sarah felt worried and uncomfortable about speaking in front of many people. The loud thunder made the dog feel uneasy. It means the loud noise of thunder made the dog worried and uncomfortable. Calculate. Calculate. Calculate means to determine or figure out a mathematical or numerical result by using arithmetic or other methods. For example, Tom had to calculate the total cost of his groceries before going to the cash register. It means Tom had to add up the prices of all the items he was buying. The students used calculators to help them calculate the answers to the math problem. It means the students used electronic devices to figure out the solutions to the math questions. Absorb. Absorb. Absorb means to take in something. For example, the sponge absorbs water quickly. It means the sponge takes in water when it is placed in a liquid. Plants absorb sunlight to produce energy through photosynthesis. It means plants take in sunlight and use it to make food. Estimate. Estimate. Estimate means to make an approximate or educated guess about something, usually regarding quantity, size, or value. For example, the builder estimated that the construction project would take 3 months to complete. It means the builder made an educated guess about the time needed to finish the project. Jane estimated the number of attendees at the party to be around 50. It means Jane made an approximate guess about the number of people who were present at the party. Morsel. Morsel. Morsel means a small piece or amount of food. For example, the little girl ate a morsel of chocolate cake. It means the girl had a small piece of cake. The bird picked up a morsel of bread from the ground. It means the bird found a small piece of bread on the floor and ate it. Quota. Quota. Quota means a fixed or limited amount or share of something that is allocated to a person or group. For example, each team member had a quota of 100 boxes to pack. It means each team member had to pack a specific number of boxes. The fisherman reached his daily quota of catching 20 fish. It means the fisherman caught the maximum number of fish he was allowed to catch in a day. Threat. Threat. Threat means a statement, action, or situation that indicates a possible harm, danger, or negative consequence. For example, the dark clouds in the sky were a threat of rain. It means the dark clouds suggested that rain was likely to occur. The barking dog posed a threat to the mail courier. It means the aggressive dog was a possible danger to the person delivering the mail. Ban. Ban. Ban means to say that something must not be done, seen, or used. For example, the school has a ban on using mobile phones during class. It means the school does not allow students to use their phones while in class. The government implemented a ban on single-use plastic bags to reduce waste. It means the government made it illegal to use plastic bags that are meant to be used only once. Panic. Panic. Panic means to feel sudden fear or distress. For example, when the fire alarm went off, the students panicked and rushed out of the building. It means the students felt extreme fear and hurriedly left the building. The hiker panicked when he realized he was lost in the dark forest. It means the hiker became very scared upon realizing he didn't know how to find his way. Appropriate. Appropriate. Appropriate means suitable, fitting, or acceptable for a particular situation or purpose. For example, it is appropriate to wear formal attire to a wedding. It means it is suitable and acceptable to dress formally for a wedding. The teacher asked the students to use appropriate language in the classroom. It means the teacher requested the students to use suitable and respectful words. Emerge. Emerge. Emerge means to come out or appear from a hiding place. For example, the sun emerged from behind the clouds and the sky became bright. It means the sun appeared from behind the clouds and the sky became sunny. The turtle emerged from its shell and crawled toward the water. It means the turtle came out of its protective shell and moved toward the water. Jagged. Jagged. Jagged means having rough edge or surface. For example, the broken glass had jagged edges that could cause injury. It means the shattered glass had sharp edges. The mountain peaks had jagged outlines against the sky. It means the tops of the mountains had rough shapes. Linger. Linger. Linger means to stay or remain in a place or situation longer than necessary. For example, the sweet scent of flowers lingered in the air. It means the pleasant smell of flowers remained in the air for a while. The tiredness from the long day continued to linger even after the person went to bed. It means the feeling of tiredness stayed even after the person went to sleep. Ambush. Ambush. To make a surprise attack on someone or something from a hidden position. For example, the wolf ambushed the rabbit at the near its home. It means the wolf attacked the rabbit suddenly and unexpectedly. The soldiers set up an ambush to surprise the enemy troops. It means the soldiers planned to attack the enemy when they least expected it. Crafty. Crafty. Is skilled in being clever, often in a sly way. For example, the crafty fox outsmarted the farmer's attempts to catch it. It means the clever fox used its intelligence to avoid being caught by the farmer. The crafty magician performed tricks that amazed the audience. It means the clever magician used skillful tricks to entertain the audience. Defiant. Defiant. Clearly refusing to do what someone tells you to do. For example, the child crossed his arms and gave a defiant look when told to go to bed. It means the child showed disobedience and refused to follow the instruction. The protesters shouted defiant slogans against the government's policies. It means the protesters openly resisted and expressed their opposition to the government's decision. Vigor. Vigor. Vigor means physical or mental strength or energy. For example, the athlete ran with vigor in the race and won first place. It means the athlete ran with strength and energy and they came in first. The old man exercised regularly to maintain his vigor and good health. It means the old man worked out to keep his strength and vitality. Perish. Perish. To die or be destroyed, usually in a sudden or untimely manner. For example, the flowers will perish if they are not watered regularly. It means the flowers will die if they are not given water regularly. The ancient city was destroyed and its grand structures perished over time. It means the old city was ruined and its magnificent buildings were destroyed. Fragile. Fragile. Easily broken or damaged. For example, the glass vase is fragile, so handle it with care. It means the glass vase can break easily, so be gentle when touching it. The butterfly has a fragile wings that can be damaged easily. It means the butterfly has easily damaged wings that can be harmed easily. Captive. Captive. Captive means a person or animal that is kept imprisoned. For example, the zookeeper fed the captive lion. It means the zookeeper provided food for the lion that was kept in captivity. The pirates took the sailors captive and held them on their ship. It means the pirates captured the sailors and kept them as prisoners on their vessel. Prosper. Prosper. Prosper means to be successful. The business prospered and expanded with each passing year. It means the business grew and became more successful over time. With hard work and determination, she was able to prosper in her career. It means through effort and commitment, she achieved success in her profession. Devour, devour, to eat or consume food hungrily and quickly. For example, the hungry child devoured the slice of pizza in seconds. It means the child ate the pizza quickly. The wildfire devoured the forest, leaving only charred remains behind. It means the fire consumed the forest rapidly, leaving only burnt remains. Plea. Plea. A request that is urgent or full of emotion. For example, he made a plea to his parents to let him go to the party. The teacher listened to the student's plea for more time to complete the assignment. Weary. Weary. Weary means very tired or bored, especially because you have been doing something for a long time. For example, after a long day at work, she felt weary and just wanted to rest. The hiker was weary after climbing the steep hill. Collide. Collide. To hit something or someone that is moving in a different direction from you. For example, the car collided with a tree after the driver lost his control. A car and a van collided on the motorway. Confirm. Confirm. To show that something is definitely true, especially by providing more proof. For example, the employer confirmed that the money had been paid. Research has confirmed that the risk is higher for women. Verify. Verify. Confirm the truth of something. For example, a computer program verifies that the system is working. The bank asks for identification to verify the customer's identity before processing the transaction. Remember that in everyday English, people usually say check rather than verify. For example, can I just verify that I have spelled your name correctly? Instead of this sentence, people usually say, can I just check that I have spelled your name correctly? Anticipate. Anticipate. To expect or look forward to something happening in the future. For example, she anticipated receiving a gift on her birthday. It means she expected to receive a gift on her birthday. The students eagerly anticipated the start of their summer vacation. It means the students were excitedly looking forward to the beginning of their summer break. Dilemma. Dilemma. A situation in which it is very difficult to decide what to do because all the choices seem equally good or equally bad. For example, she faced a dilemma when she had to choose between attending her friend's wedding and a family gathering on the same day. The company was in a dilemma when it had to decide between laying off employees or reducing their salaries to cut costs. Detour. Detour. Detour means a way of going from one place to another that is longer than usual way. For example, they had to take a detour because the main road was closed due to construction. The driver took a detour to avoid heavy traffic and reach the airport on time. Merit. Merit. Merit means an advantage or good feature of something. For example, the film has the merit of being short. The great merit of the project is its flexibility and low cost. Transmit. Transmit. It means to send or convey something from one place to another place. For example, she used her phone to transmit the footage to her computer. The radio station transmits news and music to listeners across the city. Relief. Relief. To reduce the pain. For example, taking a hot bath helped relieve his muscle pain. The kind words from her friend relieved her worries about the upcoming exam. Baffle. Baffle. To make someone unable to understand or explain something. For example, the question baffled the new students completely. The scientists was baffled by the unexpected results of the experiment. Warden. Warden. A person in charge of a particular place, such as a prison or building. For example, the warden of the prison ensures that the inmates follow the rules. The warden of the national park takes care of the garden and protects the environment. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. To admit or accept that something is true or that a situation exists. For example, Sarah raised her hand to acknowledge that she understood the teacher's question. Jack acknowledged that when he is tired, he gets bad-tempered. Justice. Justice. Justice means fairness or the system by which people are judged. For example, the judge delivered justice by giving a fair sentence to the criminal. We seek justice for all people, regardless of their background. Delinquent. Delinquent. A person who breaks the law or behaving in a way that is illegal or the society does not approve it. For example, the police officer arrested the delinquent for stealing a wallet. The youthful delinquent tried to avoid going to jail. Reject. Reject. To refuse or not to accept. For example, the company rejected his job application because he didn't meet the qualifications. She rejected the offer to go to the party because she had other plans. Deprive. Deprive. To prevent someone from having something, especially something that they need or should have. For example, the storm deprived the town of electricity for several days. The diet deprived me of my favorite foods. Espouse. Espouse. Espouse means a husband or wife. For example, the woman and her spouse relieved each other throughout the night at their child's bedside. She introduced her spouse to her co-workers at the company party. Vocation. Vocation. Vocation means a person's occupation, profession, or calling in life. For example, teaching was her vocation because she loved working with children. He pursued a vocation in medicine and became a doctor. Unstable. Unstable. Something that is unstable is likely to move or fall. For example, the chair was unstable and wobbled when Mike sat on it. In some countries, the political situation is still very unstable. Homicide. Homicide. Murder or a person who kills another person. For example, the detective investigated the homicide and gathered evidence to solve the crime. Homicide is a serious crime that can lead to severe legal consequences. Penalize. Penalize. Punishment on someone for breaking a rule or law. For example, the referee penalized the player with a yellow card for rough play. The company policy penalizes employees who arrive late to work. Beneficiary. Beneficiary. A person who receives benefits, advantage from someone or something. For example, the rich people are the main beneficiaries of the tax cuts. The scholarship program provided financial aid to deserving students, benefiting them as the beneficiaries. Reptile. Reptile. A type of cold-blooded animal with dry skin, such as snakes, lizards, or turtles. For example, snakes are a common type of reptile found in many parts of the world. My brother has a pet turtle, which is a small reptile that lives in water. Rarely. Rarely. Rarely means not often or seldom. It refers to something that happens infrequently. For example, I rarely eat junk foods because I think they are not healthy. Jen rarely goes to the cinema because she prefers to watch movies at home. Remember that in everyday English, instead of rarely, people use often. Also, seldom is more formal than rarely and is used especially in written English. For example, Jack goes out rarely. Mike slept well rarely. These sentences are okay, but in writing, it is better to use seldom instead of rarely. Jack seldom goes out. Mike seldom slept well. Forbid. Forbid. To tell someone that they are not allowed to do something. For example, my parents forbid me from staying out past night. The sign on the door forbids smoking inside the building. Remember that. In everyday English, people usually say that someone is not allowed to do something rather than someone is forbidden to do something. For example, Max was forbidden to leave the house. In writing, to use forbidden is okay, but in speaking, people usually use not allowed. For example, Max was not allowed to leave the house. Max was forbidden to leave the house. Logical. Logical. Logical refers to something that makes sense or follows a reasonable sequence of thought. For example, it is logical to study before a test to improve your chances of getting a good grade. If you want to bake a cake, it is logical to gather all the necessary ingredients beforehand. Exhibit. Exhibit. To show something in a public place so that people can go to see it. For example, my father's paintings have been exhibited all over the world. During the science fair, students were asked to exhibit their projects to the visitors. Proceed. Proceed. To continue to do something that has already been planned or started. For example, before proceeding further, we must define our terms. The traffic light turned green and the cars proceeding down the road. Precaution. Precaution. Something you do in order to prevent something dangerous or unpleasant from happening. For example, wearing a helmet while riding a bike is a precaution to protect your head in case of an accident. The hiker carried a map and a compass as a precaution to avoid getting lost in the wilderness. Extract. Extract. To extract means to take out something from a larger whole. It can also refer to obtaining information or substances from a source. For example, the dentist had to extract my tooth because it was causing me pain. I used a juicer to extract the juice from the oranges. Prior. Prior. Warning or announcement made before something happens. For example, the society must give customers prior notice before changing the cost. We need to finish this project prior to starting the new one. Embrace. Embrace. To put your arms around someone and hold them in a friendly or loving way. It can also mean to accept an idea, belief, or way of life. For example, the mother embraced her son after he won the race. I decided to embrace a healthier lifestyle by exercising regularly and eating nutritious food. Valiant. Valiant. Very brave and gallant, especially in a difficult situation. For example, the valiant firefighter rushed into the burning building to save the trapped residents. Despite the challenges, the valiant soldier never gave up and fought until the end. Partial. Partial. Partial means not complete or incomplete or unfinished. For example, the teacher gave a partial answer to the math problems, so the students had to figure out the rest. The newspaper article provided a partial account of the event, leaving out the important details. Fierce. Fierce. A fierce person or animal is angry or ready to attack. For example, the fierce lion roared loudly in the jungle. Mike Tyson gave his opponent a fierce look before the fight started. Detest. Detest. To detest means to strongly dislike or hate something or someone. For example, I detest the taste of your pizza, so I never eat them. He detests going to the dentist because it makes him anxious. Sneer. Sneer. An unkind smile or remark that shows you have no respect for something or someone. For example, our teacher sneers at Jack when he makes mistakes. She couldn't hide her sneer when her rival received an award. Scowl. Scowl. To look at someone in an angry way. For example, the teacher scolded at the noisy students in the classroom. My father scolded when he saw that someone had taken his parking spot. Encourage. Encourage. To give support, confidence, or motivation to someone. For example, my parents always encourage me to do my best in school. The coach encouraged the team before the game to boost their morale. Consider. Consider. To think about something carefully, especially before making a choice or decision. I will consider your suggestion before choosing a vacation destination. She considered her options before accepting the job offer. Vermin. Vermin. Small animals, birds, and insects that are harmful. For example, the farmer set up traps to catch the vermin that were damaging his crops. Our city implemented measures to control the vermin population in the urban areas. Wail. Wail. To cry out with a high sound, especially because you are very sad or in pain. For example, the baby began to wail when she dropped her toy. I saw Mr. Johnson that he was wailing for his dead wife. Symbol. Symbol. A picture or shape that has a particular meaning. For example, the dove is often seen as a symbol of peace. The red heart is a symbol of love. Authority. Authority. The power you have because of your official position. For example, the police officer has the authority to enforce the law. Only the president has the authority to declare war. Neutral. Neutral. Not taking sides in a conflict. For example, I always tried to remain neutral when they started arguing. Our country declared itself neutral and refused to take part in the World War. Trifle. Trifle. Something unimportant or not valuable. For example, the lost pen was a trifle compared to the missing laptop. There is no point in arguing over trifles. Architect. Architect. Architect means a person who designs buildings. For example, the architect drew up plans for the new office building. The architect inspected the construction site to ensure that everything was being built according to the plans. Matrimony. Matrimony. The state of being married. For example, after a year of dating, Mike and Mary decided to enter into matrimony. The couple celebrated their 25th anniversary of matrimony with a romantic dinner. Baggage. Baggage. The bag or box carried by someone who is traveling. For example, shall I help you take your bags upstairs? You are only allowed one item of hand baggage on the plane. Squander. Squander. Squander means to waste something, especially money or time, in a reckless or foolish manner. For example, Jack squandered all his money on gambling and now he's broke. Don't squander your time watching TV all day. Do something productive. Abroad. Abroad. In or to a foreign country. For example, she traveled abroad for the first time last year and loved it. My brother is currently studying abroad in Spain and learning Spanish. Fugitive. Fugitive. A person who is running away from the law or from danger. For example, the fugitive was caught by the police after a high-speed chase. One of the most wanted fugitives caught by the Italian police. Calamity. Calamity. An unexpected event that causes a lot of damage or suffering. For example, the earthquake was a calamity that destroyed many buildings and killed thousands of people. The company suffered a financial calamity when their main investor pulled out. Pauper. Pauper. Pauper means a very poor person who has no money. For example, the old man was a pauper who begged for food on the streets. The charity provides shelter and food for paupers who have nowhere else to go. Envy. Envy. the feeling of wanting something that someone else has. For example, she felt envy towards her friend who had a new car and a big house. Max tried to hide his envy when his colleague got a promotion. Collapse. Collapse. To fall down suddenly because of weakness or lack of support. The building collapsed after the earthquake, trapping many people inside. She collapsed with a heart attack while she was dancing. Prosecute. Prosecute. To take legal action against someone, especially for a crime. For example, the company decided to prosecute the employee who stole money from the cash register. The government is prosecuting the drug lord after trafficking illegal drugs. Bigamy. Bigamy. The crime of being married to two people at the same time. For example, he was arrested for bigamy after his first wife found out about his second marriage. Bigamy is illegal in some countries and can result in jail time. Possible. Possible. Possible means capable of happening or being done. For example, it is possible to learn a new language with practice and dedication. There is a possible chance of rain tomorrow, so bring an umbrella. Compel. Compel. To force someone to do something. For example, the teacher compelled the students to finish their homework before the end of class. The law can compel people to pay their taxes. Awkward. Awkward. Awkward means making you feel embarrassed so that you are not sure what to do or say. It was awkward when she accidentally spilled her drink on her date. He felt awkward when he realized he was wearing mismatched socks. Venture. Venture. To take a risky journey or undertaking. For example, they decided to venture into the unknown territory despite the potential dangers. She ventured into the business world by starting her own company. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome means extremely impressive or inspiring. For example, the view from the top of the mountain was awesome. The concert was awesome with amazing music and lights. Guide. Guide. A person who shows the way or gives advice. For example, the tour guide showed us around the city and told us about its history. The teacher acted as a guide for the students, helping them with their assignments. Quench. Quench. To stop yourself feeling thirsty by drinking something. For example, drinking water can quench your thirst on a hot day. She quenched her curiosity by reading books about different cultures. Betray. Betray. To be disloyal or reveal secrets. For example, he felt betrayed when his friend shared his personal information with others. The spy was accused of betraying his country by giving away very important information. Utter. Utter. To speak or express something aloud. For example, she uttered a few words of encouragement to her friend before the big game. He didn't utter a single word during the meeting even when asked a question. Pacify. Pacify. Pacify means to calm down or to make someone calm and quiet after they have been angry or upset. The mother tried to pacify her crying baby by rocking him gently. The police officer pacified the angry crowd by explaining the situation. Respond. Respond. Respond means to answer or reply to something. For example, he responded to the email within an hour of receiving it. The dog responded to his owner's comment and sat down. Beckon. Beckon. To signal someone to come closer. For example, she beckoned her friend over to where she was sitting. The waiter beckoned us to our table at the restaurant. Despite. Despite. Despite means without being affected by something. For example, despite the rain, I went for a walk. Despite his injury, Mike played in the football match. Disrupt. Disrupt. Disrupt means entrapped or causing a problem. For example, the loud noise of your phone disrupts my concentration. Turn it off, please. The attacks are designed to disrupt plans for the elections. Rush. Rush. Doing things too quickly without thinking carefully. For example, don't go making any rash decisions about your future. Please, JC, don't do anything rash. Rapid. Rapid. Rapid means fast and quick or happening very quickly. For example, the train made rapid progress towards its destination. The rapid growth of the Elon Musk's company was impressive. Exhaust. Exhaust. To feel extremely tired. For example, Max would exhausted himself carrying all the boxes upstairs. The project deadline exhausted the team. Severity. Severity. Severity means difficulty or hardness. For example, the severity of the storm caused a lot of damage. The severity of the punishment made him think twice about breaking the rules again. Feeble. Feeble. Feeble means extremely weak or not very good and effective. For example, the old man's feeble voice was hard to hear. His voice sounded feeble and far away. Unite. Unite. Come or bring together for a common purpose. For example, at the beginning, our team united to win the game. The community united to clean up the park. Cease. Cease. Cease means to stop doing something or stop happening. For example, the rain finally ceased after hours of pouring down. The company decided to cease production of product. Thrifty. Thrifty. Thrifty means using money carefully and not wastefully. She is a thrifty shopper and always looks for sales. His thrifty habits helped him save money for his trip. Miserly. Miserly. A miserly person is not generous and doesn't like spending money. For example, the miserly old man refused to give any money to charity. Sarah's miserly ways made her unpopular with her friends. Monarch. Monarch. Monarch means a king or queen. For example, the monarch of England is Queen Elizabeth. The bishops were appointed by the monarch. Outlaw. Outlaw. Outlaw is a noun and it means a person who has broken the law and is considered a criminal. It can also be used as a verb, meaning to make something illegal. For example, the outlaw was on the run from the police. The sheriff was determined to catch the outlaw. Promote. Promote. Promote is a verb and it means to support, encourage or advance someone or something to a higher position or status. For example, the company decided to promote him to a higher position. The teacher promoted reading by giving out books to her students. Undernourished. Undernourished. Undernourished is adjective and it describes someone who is unhealthy and weak because they have not had enough food or the right type of food. For example, the undernourished child was very thin and weak. The doctor recommended a special diet for the undernourished patient. Illustrate. Illustrate. Illustrate is verb and it means to make something clear or explain it by using pictures, diagrams or examples. For example, the book was illustrated with beautiful drawings. She illustrated her discussion with diagrams. Disclose. Disclose. Disclose is a verb and it means to make something publicly known or reveal information that was previously hidden or secret. For example, the company refused to disclose their financial records. The journalists disclosed the politicians' dirty behaviors. Excessive. Excessive. Excessive is adjective and it describes something that is more than what is considered normal. For example, his excessive drinking caused him health problems. The company was criticized for its excessive use of plastic packaging. Disaster. Disaster. Disaster is a noun and it means a sudden event such as a flood, a storm, or accident that causes great damage, destruction, or suffering. For example, the earthquake was a disaster for the city. The plane crash was a terrible disaster. Censor. Censor. Censor can be used as a noun or verb, and it means a person whose job is to examine books, films, letters, etc. and remove anything considered to be unacceptable. For example, the information given to the press was carefully censored by the Ministry of Defense. The film has been heavily censored. Culprit. Culprit. Culprit is a noun and it means the person who is guilty of a crime and responsible for doing something wrong. For example, the police were searching for the culprit of the robbery. The detective finally identified the culprit of the murder. Juvenile. Juvenile. Juvenile is adjective and it means relating to young people or immature individuals. It can also be used as a noun to refer to a young person. For example, the police officer arrested the leader of a band of juveniles. The library had a section dedicated to juvenile literature. Bait. Bait. Bait can be used as a noun or verb and it means food used to attract fish, animals or birds to catch or trap them. It can also be used as a verb and it means to attract someone or something. For example, the fisherman used worms as bait to catch the fishes. The hunter used a decoy as bait to attract ducks. Insist. Insist. Insist is a verb and it means to demand something forcefully or to state firmly that something should be done or believed. For example, they insisted that everyone should come to the party. The teacher insisted that her students follow the rules. Toil. Toil. Toil means to work extremely hard, often involving physical labor. For example, the farmer toiled in the fields all day. She toiled over her homework until late at night. Blunder. Blunder. A careless or a stupid mistake. For example, he made a blunder by forgetting his keys. The politician's blunder cost him the election. Daze. Daze. Daze means feeling confused and not able to think clearly. For example, the bright lights of the stage made her dazed. The athlete was dazed after being hit in the head. Mourn. Mourn. To feel very sad and to miss someone after they have died. For example, Jack and Sarah mourned for their children killed in the war. The nation mourned the death of their leader. Subside. Subside. If a feeling, pain or sound subsides, it gradually becomes less and then stops. For example, the storm finally subsided after hours of heavy rain. His anger subsided after he took a deep breath. Main. Main. Main means something that is more important than other things. For example, the main reason for his success was hard work. Our main concern is that the children are safe. Comprehend. Comprehend. Comprehend means to understand the meaning of something. For example, the students couldn't comprehend the complex math problem. I didn't fully comprehend what had happened. Remember that in everyday English, people usually say understand instead of comprehend. For example, I didn't fully comprehend what had happened. I didn't fully understand what had happened. Commend. Commend. Commend means to approve of someone or something. For example, the boss commended her for her hard work on the project. The teacher commended the student for their excellent essay. Final. Final. Final means indicating something as the last or ultimate. For example, this is the final exam of the semester. The final decision was made by the judge. Exempt. Exempt. Exempt means to give someone permission not to do or pay something. For example, the children are exempt from paying taxes. Living abroad doesn't necessarily exempt you paying tax. Vain. Vain. Someone who is vain is too proud of their good looks, abilities, or position. For example, he was so vain that he spent hours looking in the mirror. The actress was accused of being too vain to work with. Reputation. Reputation. Reputation means renown or the opinion that people have about someone or something because of what has happened in the past. For example, the restaurant has a reputation for serving excellent food. In her last job, she gained a reputation as a hard worker. Depict. Depict. Depict means to represent or portray something or someone through a picture or drawing. For example, the artist depicted a beautiful sunset with vibrant colors in her painting. The book vividly depicted the adventures of a young boy in a magical world. Mortal. Mortal. Mortal means not able to live forever. For example, all humans are mortal and will eventually die. Her father's death reminded her that she is mortal. Novel. Novel. A long written story in which the characters and events are usually imaginary. For example, I enjoy reading mystery novels because they keep me engaged and guessing until the end. She is currently writing a science fiction novel set in a dystopian future. Now, stop the video and make a sentence for the word novel. Occupant. Occupant. Occupant means someone who lives in a house. For example, the occupant of the house was away on vacation when the fire broke out. The furniture had been left by the previous occupant. Appoint. Appoint. Appoint means to choose someone for a position or a job. For example, the manager decided to appoint John as the team leader for the new project. A committee was appointed to consider the plans. Quarter. Quarter. Quarter means one of 4 equal parts of something. For example, the pizza was divided into quarters and everyone got a slice. I'll meet you in a quarter of an hour. Site. Site. A specific location or place, often referring to a physical or online location. For example, the factory will be built at a site to the north of the city. I found a great website that offers free language lessons. Quote. Quote. Quote means to repeat someone's exact words, often for reference. For example, the teacher quoted a famous author to emphasize the importance of reading. He used a quote from a motivational speaker to inspire his team. Verse. Verse. A single line or a group of lines in a poem or song. For example, she sang a beautiful verse from her favorite poem. Let's sing the last verse again. Morality. Morality. Morality means beliefs or ideas about what is right and wrong and about how people should behave. For example, honesty and kindness are important moral values. Several advisors had very different views on the morality of the action. Roam. Roam. Roam means to walk or travel, usually for a long time with no clear purpose or direction. For example, the cat loves to roam around the neighborhood, exploring different gardens. During the summer break, we decided to roam the countryside and visit new places. Attract. Attract. Attract means to make someone interested in something or make them want to take part in something. For example, the bright colors of the flowers attract bees and butterflies. His friendly and outgoing personality tends to attract many friends. Commuter. Commuter. Commuter is a noun and it means a person who travels regularly to work or school, usually by public transportation. For example, my mother is a commuter. She takes the bus to work every day. The train station was crowded with commuters rushing to catch their trains. Confine. Confine. Confine is a verb and it means to keep someone in a place that they cannot leave, such as a prison. For example, the teacher confined the students to the classroom until the end of the school day. The dog was confined to the backyard to prevent it from running away. Idle. Idle. Idle is adjective and it means not working or active or doing nothing. For example, the factory's machine stood idle over the weekend. The workers have been idle for the last 6 months. Idle. Idle. Idle is a noun and it means a person or thing that is loved very much. For example, Michael Jackson was an idol for many music lovers. The statue of Buddha is considered an idol of devotion in Buddhism. Jest. Jest. Jest can be used as a noun or verb and it means a joke or something you say that is intended to be funny, not serious. For example, the comedian's jests made the audience burst into laughter. His serious face told me that he was not speaking in jest. Patriotic. Patriotic. Patriotic is adjective and it means nationalistic or having a great love of your country. Patriotic describes someone who has a deep sense of love, loyalty, and pride for their own country. The citizens waved flags and sang patriotic songs during the National Day. John felt patriotic and joined the military to serve his country. Dispute. Dispute. Dispute can be used as a noun or verb and it means a disagreement or argument or to argue or disagree. For example, the siblings had a dispute over who would get the last cookie. The two friends had a dispute about which movie to watch. Valor. Valor. Valor can be used as a noun and it means great courage in the face of danger, especially in battle. For example, the soldier was awarded a medal for his valor in the war. The firefighter showed great valor when he rescued the family from the burning building. Lunatic. Lunatic. Lunatic is a noun and it means a person who is mentally ill or behaves in a crazy manner. For example, the man on the street was shouting and behaving like a lunatic. The old woman was afraid of the lunatic who lived next door. Vein. Vein. Vein is a noun and it means one of the tubes which carries blood to your heart from other parts of your body. For example, the nurse inserted the needle into the patient's vein to draw blood. She felt the blood racing through her veins as they kissed. Uneventful. Uneventful. Uneventful is adjective and it means boring or something without much excitement. For example, the weekend was uneventful, so I spent most of it reading and relaxing at home. The flight was uneventful and landed on time. Fertile. Fertile. Fertile is adjective and it means productive or fruitful or able to produce crops or children. For example, the fertile soil in this area is perfect for growing corn and wheat. The other's mind was fertile with ideas for his next book. Refer. Refer. Refer is a verb and it means to mention or direct attention to something or someone. For example, Jimmy gave the speech without referring to his notes. Mary referred to her notes during the presentation. Distress. Distress. Distress can be used as a noun or verb, and it means extreme sadness, pain, or suffering. For example, their family was in distress after their house burned down. The loud noise from the construction site was distressing for the neighbors. Diminish. Diminish. Diminish is a verb, and it means to make or become smaller or to reduce in size or amount. For example, the company's profits have diminished over the past year. These drugs diminish blood flow to the brain. Maximum. Maximum. Maximum can be used as a noun or adjective, and it means the greatest amount or level possible, the highest or most complete degree. For example, the maximum speed limit on this road is 50 miles per hour. They made maximum use of the resources available. Flee. Flee. Flee is a verb, and it means to escape or to run away from danger or a difficult situation. For example, the animals fled from the forest fire. She fled the scene of the accident before the police arrived. Vulnerable. Vulnerable. Vulnerable is adjective, and it means easily hurt physically or emotionally, open to attack or damage. For example, the organization works mainly with vulnerable people. Children are most vulnerable to abuse within society. Signify. Signify. Signify is a verb, and it means to indicate, show, or suggest something, or to have a meaning or importance. For example, the red light signifies that it is not safe to cross the street. His silence during the meeting signified his disapproval of the proposal. Mythology. Mythology. Mythology can be used as a noun, and it means a collection of myths, stories, or legends belonging to a particular culture or religion. For example, Greek mythology includes stories about gods and heroes like Zeus and Hercules. The children were fascinated by the mythology of ancient Egypt. Torment. Torment. Torment can be used as a noun or verb, and it means severe physical or mental suffering. For example, the prisoner endured years of torment in solitary confinement. Sarah lay awake all night in torment. Colleague. Colleague. Colleague is a noun, and it means a person who works in the same profession with you, or someone you work with, used especially by professional people. For example, my colleague and I are both teachers at the same school. I want to invite my colleagues to my birthday party. Provide. Provide. Provide is a verb, and it means to give or supply something, to make something available for use. For example, the hotel provides free breakfast for its guests. The company will provide training for new employees. Loyalty. Loyalty. Loyalty is a noun, and it means the quality of remaining faithful to your friends, principles, country, etc. For example, the dog's loyalty to its owner was not changeable. She showed her loyalty to her country by serving in the military. Volunteer. Volunteer. Volunteer means a person who does a job without being asked or paid. For example, she volunteered at the school to train the students how to clean their environments. Jack volunteered to help his neighbor with yard work. Prejudice. Prejudice. Prejudice means an unfair feeling of dislike or hatred for a person or group based on their race, religion, or other characteristics. For example, some people have prejudice against those who speak a different language than they do. My own school days prejudiced me against all formal education. Shrill. Shrill. A shrill sound is very high and unpleasant. For example, the shrill sound of the fire alarm woke everyone up. She shrilled with excitement when she saw her favorite celebrity. Jolly. Jolly. Jolly means cheerful and happy. For example, the jolly man dressed up as Santa Claus for the children's party. She jollied her friend up with a funny story. Witty. Witty. Witty means able to think quickly and make clever remarks. For example, the comedian's witty jokes had the audience laughing all night. She made a witty comment about the weather. Hinder. Hinder. Hinder means to delay or to make it difficult for someone to do something or for something to happen. For example, the bad weather hindered their travel plans. His lack of experience hindered his ability to complete the project. Lecture. Lecture. Lecture means a talk given to a group of people to teach them about a particular subject. For example, the professor gave a lecture on the history of art. My sister lectured her children about the importance of studying. Abuse. Abuse. Abuse means the use of something in a way that it should not be used. For example, domestic abuse is a serious problem in many households. The president was accused of abusing his power as a president. Mumble. Mumble. Mumble means to speak quietly and unclearly. For example, the shy student mumbled her answer to the teacher's question. Jack mumbled an apology for being late. Mute. Mute. Mute means unable to speak, silent, or to make something silent. For example, the mute boy communicated using sign language. She muted the TV so she could concentrate on her work. Wad. Wad. Wad means a small thick bundle of paper, money, or other material. For example, Max pulled out a wad of cash from his pocket to pay for the mail. She wadded up the paper and threw it in the trash. Retain. Retain. Retain means to keep or continue to have something, or to remember something. For example, the company wants to retain its top employees. She tried to retain all the information she learned in class. Candidate. Candidate. Candidate is a noun and it means a person who applies for a job or is nominated for an election. For example,
welcome to the astronaut candidate program. Welcome to the astronaut candidate program.
John is a candidate for the position of class president. I want to apply as a candidate for the position of manager.
The NWP does not put forth a candidate for election. The NWP does not put forth a candidate for election.
Proceed. Proceed. Proceed is a verb and it means to happen or exist before something or someone. For example,
you proceed yourself. You proceed yourself.
The letter A precedes the letter B in the English alphabet. The introduction will precede the start of the presentation.
I had Ripple precede me to chart the route. I had Ripple precede me to chart the route.
Adolescent. Adolescent. Adolescent can be used as a noun or adjective, and it means a young person who is in the stage between childhood and adulthood. For example,
I look at capitalism as an adolescent stage in the growth of civilization. I look at capitalism as an adolescent stage in the growth of civilization.
Adolescents often experience various physical and emotional changes during puberty. The adolescent years can be challenging for both parents and children.
Carpentry and adolescent psychology, two things I know nothing about. Carpentry and adolescent psychology, two things I know nothing about.
Coeducational. Coeducational. The word coeducational is adjective, and it means involving or providing education for both boys and girls together. For example,
she's never been in a coeducational atmosphere before. She's never been in a coeducational atmosphere before.
the school is a coeducational institution allowing both male and female students to study together. Our school is coeducational and has both boys and girls in the same classes.
She's never been in a coeducational atmosphere before.
Radical. Radical. Radical can be used as an adjective or noun, and radical ideas are very new and different and are against what most people think or believe. Also, a radical change or difference is very big and important. For example,
I have a radical solution. I have a radical solution.
Our president has radical ideas about how to solve the problem. She is a political radical who wants to change the system.
You should make a radical change in your lifestyle. You should make a radical change in your lifestyle.
Spontaneous. Spontaneous. The word spontaneous is adjective. Something that is spontaneous has not been planned or organized, but happens by itself or because you suddenly feel you want to do it. For example, the
spontaneous event. Spontaneous event.
Was it spontaneous? Was it calculated? Was it spontaneous? Was it calculated?
Somebody help me! I'm being spontaneous! Somebody help me! I'm being spontaneous!
The couple had a spontaneous picnic in the park. Her spontaneous decision to travel to Europe surprised everyone.
Was it spontaneous? Was it calculated?
Somebody help me! I'm being spontaneous!
Spontaneous event.
Scheme. Scheme. Scheme is a verb and it means to read something quickly to find the main facts or ideas in it, or to remove a substance from the surface of a liquid. For example,
there are 100 different ways to skim off the top. There are 100 different ways to skim off the top.
At the end of this, we'll teach you how to skim and how to cut it up and make some money on the side, because we invented skimming. At the end of this, we'll teach you how to skim and how to cut it up and make some money on the side, because we invented skimming.
She skimmed through the book to find the answer. He skimmed the cream off the top of the milk.
At the end of this, we'll teach you how to skim and how to cut it up and make some money on the side, because we invented skimming.
Vaccinate. Vaccinate. Vaccinate is a verb and it means to protect a person or animal from a disease by giving them a vaccine. For example,
it's not that important to vaccinate kids, is it? It's not that important to vaccinate kids, is it?
Did you vaccinate the dogs for parvo? Did you vaccinate the dogs for parvo?
The doctor will vaccinate the child against measles. She needs to vaccinate her dog against rabies.
Did you vaccinate the dogs for parvo?
It's not that important to vaccinate kids, is it?
Untidy. Untidy. Untidy is adjective and it means messy, disordered, or not organized. For example,
very untidy, very untidy.
Well, I'm untidy. Well, I'm untidy.
Bachelors are supposed to be untidy, aren't they? Bachelors are supposed to be untidy, aren't they?
My room is untidy and needs cleaning. The kitchen was untidy after the party.
Bachelors are supposed to be untidy, aren't they?
Well, I'm untidy.
Very untidy.
Utensil. Utensil. Utensil is a noun and it means a tool or container used for cooking or eating food. For example,
give me my eating utensil back.
A bendy straw, your favorite sipping utensil. A bendy straw, your favorite sipping utensil.
It's a writing utensil. It's a writing utensil.
The chef used a variety of utensils such as knives, pans, and spoons to prepare the meal. My mother washed the utensils after dinner.
It's a writing utensil.
Give me my eating utensil back.
Sensitive. Sensitive. Sensitive is adjective and it means easily affected by external factors or having a strong emotional reaction to something. For example,
whatever it was, it's very sensitive.
I don't get it. You seem to be sensitive.
She is sensitive to bright lights and wears sunglasses outside. Children are very sensitive and gets upset easily by criticism or harsh words.
Whatever it was, it's very sensitive.
I don't get it. You seem to be sensitive.
Temperate. Temperate. Temperate is adjective and it means mild or moderate, especially in terms of weather or climate. For example,
be temperate. Be temperate.
Who can be wise, amazed, temperate and furious, loyal and neutral in a moment? No man!
The temperate climate in that region allows for growth of a wide variety of plants. Sarah enjoys the temperate weather in spring when it's not too hot or too cold.
Who can be wise, amazed, temperate and furious, loyal and neutral in a moment? No man!
Be temperate. Be temperate.
Vague. Vague. Vague is an adjective and it means uncertain or unclear. For example,
it's not some vague thing with you like it is with others.
Not to be vague, that is the price.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
The instructions I received were vague, so I had trouble understanding what to do. The governor gave only a vague outline of his tax plan.
It's not some vague thing with you like it is with others.
Not to be vague, that is the price.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
Elevate. Elevate. Elevate is a verb and it means to move someone or something to a more important level or make them better than before. For example,
elevate me.
Art should elevate, not pander.
You put them next to each other, right? And they start to elevate each other. And then you can hear it.
Language has elevated humans above the other animals. Regular exercise can elevate your mood and improve your overall well-being.
Elevate me. Elevate me.
Art should elevate, not pander.
Lottery. Lottery. The word lottery is a noun and it means a game of chance in which participants can win a prize, typically by purchasing a ticket with a random number combination. For example,
I won the Pennsylvania lottery in the morning.
I wasn't part of a lottery. I was selected.
I mean, you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket.
John bought a lottery ticket hoping to win the jackpot and fulfill his dreams. Do you really think winning the lottery would make you happy?
I won the Pennsylvania lottery in the morning.
I wasn't part of a lottery. I was selected.
I mean, you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket.
Finance. Finance. Finance can be used as a noun and verb, and it means the management of money or to provide funds for a specific purpose. For example,
you worked in finance.
If it works again tomorrow, I'll finance the whole thing.
Little jokes they're making down at finance these days.
Sarah studied finance in college and now works as a financial advisor. The bank agreed to finance Mark's new business venture.
You worked in finance.
If it works again tomorrow, I'll finance the whole thing.
Little jokes they're making down at finance these days.
Obtain. Obtain. Obtain is a verb and it means to achieve or to get something that you want. For example,
you must obtain a title.
Perhaps we can obtain another.
The ports are blockaded, and fresh shipments of the herring become more difficult to obtain.
Further information can be obtained from head office. Lisa obtained her driver's lessons after passing the written and practical exams.
You must obtain a title.
Perhaps we can obtain another.
The ports are blockaded, and fresh shipments of the herring become more difficult to obtain.
Cinema. Cinema. Cinema is a noun, and it means a place where films are shown on a large screen. For example,
I'm not a complicated man. I like cinema.
Beautiful, beautiful cinema.
She means in the cinema. She means in the cinema.
let's go to the cinema tonight and watch the latest action movie. How often do you go to the cinema?
I'm not a complicated man. I like cinema.
Beautiful, beautiful cinema.
She means in the cinema. She means in the cinema.
Event. Event. Event is a noun and it means something that happens, especially something important, interesting or unusual. For example,
I won an event the other night. I won an event the other night.
Always told me how much he loved coming to this event.
That's right, this is going to be the greatest sporting event in the country's history. That's right, this is going to be the greatest sporting event in the country's history.
The wedding was a grand event with hundreds of guests. Celebrating of New Year's is one of the most important events.
I won an event the other night.
Always told me how much he loved coming to this event.
That's right, this is going to be the greatest sporting event in the country's history.
Discord. Discord. Discord is a verb and it means to get rid of something or throw away. For example,
I discard the razor blade. I discard the razor blade.
You're a discard, you know it. You're a discard, you know it.
Please discard the empty bottles in the recycling bin. These ideas have now been completely discarded.
I discard the razor blade.
You're a discard, you know it.
Soar. Soar. Soar is a verb and it means to fly or raise high in the air with a little effort, often with a feeling of freedom or exhilaration. For example,
they will soar on wings like eagles.
Defy gravity, just soar.
Your career will soar.
The eagle spread its wings and soared gracefully across the sky. The price of petrol has soared in recent weeks.
They will soar on wings like eagles.
Defy gravity, just soar.
Your career will soar.
Subsequent. Subsequent. Subsequent is adjective and it means coming after or following something in time or order. For example,
subsequent developments confirm this opinion. Subsequent developments confirm this opinion.
Uninspired description of movie and subsequent conversation with girlfriend. Uninspired description of movie and subsequent conversation with girlfriend.
The team won the first game but lost all subsequent matches in the tournament. After the storm, the city faced subsequent challenges such as power outage and damaged infrastructure.
Subsequent developments confirm this opinion.
Uninspired description of movie and subsequent conversation with girlfriend.
Relate. Relate. Relate is a verb and it means to make a connection or association between two or more things. For example,
relate in the book the story of Mary.
Can anybody else relate to that?
I relate primarily to micas, quartz, feldspar.
The professor used real-life examples to help his students relate the theoretical concepts to practical situations. Sarah could relate to John's struggles because she had experienced something similar in the past.
Relate in the book the story of Mary.
Can anybody else relate to that?
I relate primarily to micas, quartz, feldspar.
Stationary. Stationary. Stationary is adjective and it means not moving or not intended to be moved.
Will the gentleman be moving?
Stationary. I choose to write on hotel stationery.
The car was stationary at the traffic light, waiting for the signal to turn green. The librarian asked the students to keep the books on the stationery shelf and not move them around.
I choose to write on hotel stationery.
Will the gentleman be moving?
Stationary.
Prompt. Prompt. Prompt is a word that means to make something happen quickly. For example, the teacher prompted the students to begin their work. The alarm clock prompted me to wake up early.
Very prompt. Very prompt.
Very, very important. Pay your supplier prompt.
And what would prompt such an act of charity?
Hasty. Hasty. Hasty means to do something too soon, without careful thinking. For example, she made a hasty decision and regretted it later. He was in hasty rush to finish his homework.
Don't be hasty.
Don't be hasty.
Well, let's not be hasty.
Scorch. Scorch. Scorch is a verb that means to burn or damage something with heat. For example, the sun scorched my skin during the summer. The chef accidentally scorched the pancakes on the stove.
We'll scorch the earth. We will astonish them all.
Tomorrow we scorch the surface!
Do you scorch, slow roast, or please say no, leave it uncooked?
Tempest. Tempest. Tempest is a noun that means a violent storm with strong winds and rain. For example, the tempest caused damage to the town. The sailors braved the tempest on their journey.
You know very well my organization is entering a tempest.
Roll. The Tempest.
Oh, then began the tempest to my soul.
Here I want to say, I make a lot of efforts on these videos. So to support me, click the like button. Thank you for your like, my friends. Soothe. Soothe. Soothe is a verb that means to calm or comfort someone who is upset or in pain. For example, the mother soothed her crying baby. The music soothed my nerves.
Played music to soothe their minds.
Yes, I played music. I wanted to soothe you.
Perhaps this will soothe you.
Sympathetic. Sympathetic. Sympathetic is an adjective that describes feeling sorry for someone and wanting to help them. For example, the sympathetic nurse comforted the sick patient. I felt sympathetic towards my friend who lost their pet.
Blacks are more sympathetic to the blacks. Blacks are more sympathetic to the blacks.
Something sympathetic, something human.
I've had some sympathetic juries.
Redeem. Redeem. Redeem is a verb that means to make something good again after it has been damaged or lost value. For example, he tried to redeem himself after making a mistake. The store offered a coupon to redeem for a discount.
I beg you, bold king, to permit me to redeem my father's name by serving you in combat.
Here you may redeem yourself and, God willing, save yourself from eternal damnation.
The only thing that will redeem mankind is cooperation.
Resume. Resume. Resume is a verb that means to start again after stopping for a period of time. For example, after the break we will resume our class. He resumed his job search after taking a break.
You may resume your duties and begin training as a combat medic.
Resume the countdown.
We'll resume play in 1 hour.
Harmony. Harmony. Harmony is a noun that means when people live or work together without fighting or disagreeing with each other. For example, they have lived together in reasonable harmony for many years. The family lived in harmony with their neighbors.
It goes with the harmony.
He called the English the disturbers of our harmony.
It's a perfect harmony.
Refrain. Refrain. Refrain is a verb that means to stop oneself from doing something. For example, she refrained from eating junk food to stay healthy. He refrained from speaking out of turn in the meeting.
If you can refrain from doing any of that, it's yours.
Please refrain from urinating in the freezer aisle.
Kindly refrain from sitting on my sister's bed. Kindly refrain from sitting on my sister's bed.
Illegal. Illegal. Illegal is an adjective that describes something that is against the law. For example, it is illegal to drive without a license. Selling drugs is an illegal activity.
It's only illegal to buy sexual services.
Because it's illegal, that's why not. Because it's illegal, that's why not.
There's over 2 million illegal immigrants bedding down in this state tonight.
Narcotic. Narcotic. Narcotic is a noun that means a type of drug which makes you sleep and reduces pain. For example, the doctor prescribed a narcotic for the patient's pain. Abusing narcotic drugs can lead to addiction.
No pardon, narcotic offender.
All that narcotic in that little backpack. All that narcotic in that little backpack.
No. He lives only for that narcotic moment of creative bliss.
Heir. Heir.
And heir to the throne of Gondor.
Heir is a noun and it means the person who has the legal right to receive the property or title of another person when they die. For example, the prince was the heir to the throne and would become king one day. After his father passed away, he became the sole heir to the family business.
And heir to the throne of Gondor. And heir to the throne of Gondor.
We hope Manchukuo will have an heir. We hope Manchukuo will have an heir.
To live in terror every moment of every day because your son is heir to the throne.
Majestic. Majestic. Majestic is adjective and it means having or showing impressive beauty or dignity. For example, the majestic eagle soared high in the sky. Its wings is spread wide. The Taj Mahal is a majestic monument that attracts tourists from all over the world.
The eagle is a majestic bird. The eagle is a majestic bird.
Be a lot more majestic if we could see it. Be a lot more majestic if we could see it.
I think it is called the majestic.
Dwindle. Dwindle. Dwindle is a verb and it means to become gradually smaller in amount or importance. For example, the water in the lake began to dwindle during the summer months due to lack of rainfall. The popularity of the singer dwindled after his last album received negative reviews.
Circulation continues to dwindle. Circulation continues to dwindle.
Surplus. Surplus. Surplus is a noun and it means extra or an amount of something that is more than what is needed or used. For example, the farmer had a surplus of vegetables after a good harvest and decided to sell them at the market. The company had a surplus of funds and decided to invest in a new project.
If he's going to die, then he'd better do it and decrease the surplus population.
If they'd rather die, then they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Guys, if this video is helpful for you, please click the like button. Thank you so much. Traitor. Traitor. Traitor is a noun and it means betrayer or someone who is not loyal to their country, friends or beliefs. For example, the soldier was accused of being a traitor after he leaked confidential information to the enemy. He turned traitor and joined the opposition.
They called you a traitor.
You know what makes him a traitor? You know what makes him a traitor?
He is a traitor, my lord. Traitors die.
Deliberate. Deliberate. Deliberate is adjective and it means planned or calculated. For example, she made a deliberate choice to wear her favorite dress to the party. The teacher asked the students to deliberate on the topic before giving their opinions.
It's a deliberate mutilation of a public service message.
Not deliberate, not random. Not deliberate, not random.
Vandal. Vandal. Vandal is a noun and it means a person who deliberately destroys or damages public or private property. For example, the car vandals caused more than 10,000 worth of damage to vehicles last Saturday. The park was closed temporarily due to vandalism caused by a group of teenagers.
I'm not a vandal. Or a spy. I'm not a vandal. Or a spy.
I thought you were a vandal. I thought you were a vandal.
I used to be a vandal. I used to be a vandal.
Drought. Drought. Drought is a noun and it means dryness or a long period of dry weather when there is not enough water for plants and animals to live. For example, large areas of Africa are affected by severe drought. Last year has been the worst drought in the country's history.
The drought has just begun. The drought has just begun.
Pray that the grain you brought back will outlast the drought. Pray that the grain you brought back will outlast the drought.
Abide. Abide. Abide is a verb and it means to accept and obey a decision, rule, agreement, etc., even though you may not agree with it. For example, you have to abide by the referee's decision. The company had to abide by the government regulations.
I know it's going to be hard for you to abide by my rules. I know it's going to be hard for you to abide by my rules.
We must abide by his law if we wish to remain free. We must abide by his law if we wish to remain free.
Unify. Unify. Unify is a verb and it means to bring together or combine into a single unit. For example, the coach's aim was to unify the team and work towards a common goal. The treaty was signed to unify the two countries and promote peace and cooperation.
If we attack their ships, we will unify them. If we attack their ships, we will unify them.
Help the scientists unify string theories. Help the scientists unify string theories.
Summit. Summit. Summit is a noun and it means the highest point or peak of a mountain or hill. A meeting between heads of a state or other high-level officials. For example, the climbers reached the summit of Mount Everest after a grueling climb. The leaders of G7 countries met at the summit to discuss global issues and policies.
And I went up to the summit to hang myself. And I went up to the summit to hang myself.
Back to the summit. Back to the summit.
Heed. Heed. Heed is a verb and it means to pay attention to someone's advice or warning. For example, the hiker heeded the warning signs and avoided the dangerous trail. Tom paid no heed to the doctor's warning and now he is sick.
That's why you should heed me. That's why you should heed me.
Take heed, magicians. Take heed, magicians.
Take heed. Come. Take heed. Come.
Biography. Biography. Biography is a written account of someone's life, usually published in a book or article. For example, the biography of Mahatma Gandhi tells the story of his life and his fight for India's independence. I'm reading a biography of Albert Einstein to learn more about his scientific discoveries.
The biography of the Watermelon Woman.
The great American biography, A Journey into the Heart of the Beast.
Drench. Drench. To soak or wet. Used about a person or area after a lot of rain or water has fallen on them. For example, the rain drenched us as we walked home from the park. I accidentally spilled water on my shirt and it drenched my entire front.
You'll be very sorry because I'll drench you. You'll be very sorry because I'll drench you.
Cromwell's ghost has come again to drench Ireland in blood.
Swarm. Swarm. A large group of insects or other small creatures. A large number of people or things moving together. To move in a large group. For example, a swarm of bees flew into the garden and started buzzing around the flowers. The fans swarmed the concert venue to get a glimpse of their favorite singer.
Surrounded by a swarm of...
Like a swarm of locusts.
These hills swarm with our scouts.
Wobble. Wobble. To be uncertain or unstable. To move unsteadily from side to side. For example, the table leg was loose and caused the vase to wobble and almost fall over. The child wobbled as he took his first steps, trying to maintain his balance.
You can still wobble, I see. This is a pretty big wobble.
I can see it wobble all right enough.
I think I saw it wobble a little bit too.
Tumult. Tumult. A confused, noisy and excited situation often caused by a large crowd. For example, the stadium was filled with tumult as the home team scored the winning goal. The company was in a state of tumult after the principal resigned unexpectedly.
Much tumult in the other rooms. Much tumult in the other rooms.
I'm here because you are one tumult little puppet. I'm here because you are one tumult little puppet.
Kneel. Kneel. To rest on one's knee or knees. For example, the knight knelt before the queen to receive his honor. The gardener had to kneel down to plant the flowers in the soil.
Why must people kneel down to pray? Why must people kneel down to pray?
In the end, you will always kneel.
Dejected. Dejected. Sad and depressed. For example, the Ronaldo was dejected after losing the championship game. The student was dejected after failing the exam that she had studied so hard for.
The lowest and most dejected thing of fortune.
Dejected fellow wasn't his day. Dejected fellow wasn't his day.
Obedient. Obedient. Always doing what you are told to do, or what the law or rule says you must do. For example, the dog was obedient and followed his owner's commands without hesitation. The children were obedient and listened to their parents when they were told to go to bed.
We are obedient.
You're humble and obedient. You're obedient.
Recede. Recede. To move back or away from a previous position, or to become more distant. For example, the floodwaters began to recede after several days of heavy rain.
And any trouble we had here will recede away like a dream. And any trouble we had here will recede away like a dream.
If the water doesn't recede after the tsunami, I'll need air to surface.
Tyrant. Tyrant. Tyrant means dictator or someone who has power over other people and use it cruelly or unfairly. For example, the people revolted against the tyrant who had been ruling the country for decades. The boss was often referred to as a tyrant because of his strict rules and harsh treatment of employees.
The tyrant? The world will know that free men stood against the tyrant.
The king is a tyrant.
Charity. Charity. An organization set up to provide help and raise money for those in need. For example, the charity raised funds to provide food and shelter for the homeless in the city. She donated a portion of her salary to charity every month to help support the least fortunate.
Something about charity.
I don't want charity, and I don't want favors.
Are you involved with the charity?
Verdict. Verdict. An opinion or judgment about something. For example, the players anxiously awaited the verdict of the umpire. My verdict is that this restaurant serves the best pizza I have ever tasted.
If there is a reasonable doubt, you must bring me a verdict of not guilty.
Guilty, the verdict for all of them. Guilty, the verdict for all of them.
So what's the verdict? So what's the verdict?
Unearth. Unearth. Unearth means dig up, find out, or discover. For example, the digging of scientists unearthed a buried city. The gardener unearthed a worm while digging in the soil.
Yes. And we continue to unearth new material.
And what if they unearth the bow?
Depart. Depart. To leave or go away from a place. For example, the train will depart from the station at 6 p.m. She had to depart early from the party to catch her flight.
And depart when you bid me. And depart when you bid me.
How long for you to make ready to depart? How long for you to make ready to depart?
Coincide. Coincide. To happen at the same time or in the same place. For example, the concert coincided with my best friend's wedding, so I couldn't attend it. Because Jack's and Jim's working hours coincide and they live in the same vicinity.
Well, I'm sorry that my fugitive timetable doesn't coincide with your social calendar. Well, I'm sorry that my fugitive timetable doesn't coincide with your social calendar.
Did Tony's first appearance happen to coincide with your arrival here? Did Tony's first appearance happen to coincide with your arrival here?
Cancel. Cancel. To decide that an event will not take place, or to revoke something. For example, the flight was cancelled due to bad weather conditions. She had to cancel her dinner plans with friends because she got sick.
Cancel my appointments, please. Cancel my appointments, please.
Did you, cancel a card?
Debtor. Debtor. A person who owes something to another. For example, if I borrow $1 from you, I'm your debtor. Jack became a debtor when he took out a loan from the bank to buy a car.
I am your grateful debtor.
Nobody can stand a debtor in Holland.
Legible. Legible. Legible means able to be read or easy to read. For example, her handwriting is so legible that everyone can read it easily. The price must be legible to a purchaser.
Legible, boy.
If this were at all legible, you'd see what I meant. If this were at all legible, you'd see what I meant.
Placard. Placard. Placard means poster or a large notice or sign usually displayed in a public place. For example, there is a placard above the door saying "Welcome to the park." The movie theater had a placard outside advertising the latest movie.
Just from a placard standpoint.
Cover your face with a placard. Cover your face with a placard.
Contagious. Contagious. Able to be spread from one person or thing to another. For example, the flu is a highly contagious disease that can spread quickly from person to person. Her laughter was contagious, and soon everyone in the room was laughing too.
Don't worry, it's not contagious. Don't worry, it's not contagious.
Emily, keep away. He's contagious. Emily, keep away. He's contagious.
Clergy. Clergy. Someone who is trained to perform religious duties. For example, the clergy presided over the wedding ceremony and blessed the couple. The bishop met with the clergy to discuss matters related to the church.
Take the benefit of clergy. Take the benefit of clergy.
No, it doesn't. Goldie worked the clergy. No, it doesn't. Goldie worked the clergy.
Customary. Customary. Something that is customary is normal or usual because it is the way something is usually done. For example, it is customary to give flowers to someone on their birthday as a sign of love. In some cultures, it is customary for guests to remove their shoes before entering someone's home.
It is customary to make a little speech on the first day. It is customary to make a little speech on the first day.
Of course she made the customary protest, but she is a lady. Of course she made the customary protest, but she is a lady.
Transparent. Transparent. Transparent means clear or easily seen through. For example, the glass window was transparent, giving a clear view of the garden outside. The company's financial statements were transparent, showing all the transactions clearly.
Transparent aluminum?
Water, it's transparent. Water, it's transparent.
You're so transparent. You're so transparent.
Scald. Scald. Scald means to burn with hot liquid or steam. For example, the coffee was so hot, it nearly scalded his tongue. He was scalded by steam escaping from the broken pipe.
You could scald yourself, schmuck.
Thank you. I'll scald myself if I try.
Boy, you got a good scald on that chicken.
Epidemic. Epidemic. When a disease spreads quickly and affects a large number of people in a specific area or population. For example, in the school, there was an epidemic of the flu and many students got sick. The COVID-19 virus caused a global epidemic.
This is a national emergency. This is an epidemic. This is a national emergency. This is an epidemic.
The Times is calling it a potential epidemic.
What began locally has now broken out into a global epidemic. What began locally has now broken out into a global epidemic.
Obesity. Obesity. Obesity is a medical condition in which a person has an excessive amount of body fat, which can lead to health problems. For example, John's doctor told him he needs to lose weight because his obesity is putting him at risk for heart disease. I want to give a lecture on dangers of obesity.
Short-term treatment of obesity. Short-term treatment of obesity.
If we had to deal with morbid obesity and panic attacks. If we had to deal with morbid obesity and panic attacks.
Magnify. Magnify. To magnify means to make something appear larger or more important than it actually is. For example, Sarah used a magnifying glass to magnify the small text in the book and make it easier to read. The media often magnifies minor issues and blows them out of proportion.
Sometimes, small things can magnify themselves into big things. Sometimes, small things can magnify themselves into big things.
The hull! Magnify! Yes, sir. The hull! Magnify! Yes, sir.
Chiropractor. Chiropractor. A person who treats physical problems related to bones and joints. For example, Jane visited a chiropractor to get relief from her back pain. After a car accident, Tom went to a chiropractor to treat his whiplash injury.
Call my chiropractor. Call my chiropractor.
I'm a chiropractor. She's an orthopedic surgeon. I'm a chiropractor. She's an orthopedic surgeon.
Obstacle. Obstacle. Something that makes it difficult to achieve something. It can be a physical object, a difficult situation, or a problem. For example, the fallen tree on the road was a big obstacle for the cars trying to pass through. Fear of change is an obstacle to progress.
There is an obstacle. There is an obstacle.
Her natural speech was a great obstacle to get over.
He's much more of an obstacle than you think. He's much more of an obstacle than you think.
Ventilate. Ventilate. Ventilate means to let fresh air into a room. For example, it is important to open the windows and ventilate the room. The gymnasium has large fans to help ventilate the space and keep it cool during workouts. Jeopardize. Jeopardize. Jeopardize means to put something or someone at risk or in danger of harm, loss, or failure. For example, texting while driving can jeopardize your safety and the safety of others on the road. The company's decision to cut corners on quality control could jeopardize its reputation.
I'm gonna ventilate your little cranium. I'm gonna ventilate your little cranium.
It's clean. I had to ventilate someone.
Did they ventilate her? She didn't want that. Did they ventilate her? She didn't want that.
Negative. Negative. Negative can have different meanings, but it often refers to something that is not positive or favorable. For example, Jack's drinking is starting to have a negative effect on his work. He gave a negative answer without an explanation.
Negative. Do not pull back. Negative. Do not pull back.
Negative.
Negative. Galitzin is on the move. Negative. Galitzin is on the move.
Pension. Pension. A pension is a regular payment made to a person, typically after retirement, as a form of income. It is often provided by the government or an employer as a retirement benefit. For example, after working for 30 years, John started receiving his monthly pension from the company he used to work for. If you are self-employed, you should think about taking out a private pension.
That's immediate retirement, no pension.
Take your pension. Take your pension.
Pension? Pension?
Vital. Vital. Vital means extremely important and necessary for something to succeed or exist. For example, water is vital for our survival as our bodies need it to stay hydrated. Good communication skills are vital for our building strong relationships with others.
Hi, I'm Maddie Bowen with Vital Affairs Magazine. Hi, I'm Maddie Bowen with Vital Affairs Magazine.
That's vital. That's the most important thing. That's vital. That's the most important thing.
Municipal. Municipal. Municipal refers to something related to a city or local government. It can describe services, facilities, or policies provided by the local authorities. For example, the municipal government is responsible for maintaining the parks, streets, and public transportation in the city. The city council passed a new municipal law to regulate noise levels in the residential areas.
A handful of municipal soldiers is hardly a show of force. A handful of municipal soldiers is hardly a show of force.
Municipal offender data system. Municipal offender data system.
Oral. Oral. Oral refers to something related to the mouth or spoken communication. It can describe exams, traditions, or medications. For example, the students had to give an oral presentation in front of the class to demonstrate their understanding of the topic. The statement may be given orally or in writing.
I wasn't going to mention oral.
Okay.
I wasn't going to mention oral.
Okay.
Hastings has his oral history, I'd start there. Hastings has his oral history, I'd start there.
Oh, wait, oral. I like anal.
Yay!
Oh, wait, oral. I like anal.
Yay!
Complacent. Complacent. Complacent means feeling too satisfied with yourself or your situation. For example, she was complacent about her grades and didn't study for the exam. He was complacent about his job and didn't try to get a promotion.
We are currently wealthy, fat, comfortable, and complacent. We are currently wealthy, fat, comfortable, and complacent. Complacent, indifferent, and insulated. Complacent, indifferent, and insulated.
Wasp. Wasp. A type of insect with a narrow waist and wings that can sting. For example, the wasp flew around the picnic table looking for something sweet to eat. I got stung by a wasp when I was climbing the tree.
Just wanted to put a little wasp in your head.
She was stung on the tongue by a wasp. She was stung on the tongue by a wasp.
I christen thee the flying wasp. I christen thee the flying wasp.
Rehabilitate. Rehabilitate. To help someone recover from an illness, injury, or addiction. For example, the hospital has a program to rehabilitate patients who have had a stroke. A lot of the old houses have now been rehabilitated.
It's to help you rehabilitate and cope. It's to help you rehabilitate and cope.
Well, we try to rehabilitate them.
Parole. Parole. Parole means to release a prisoner on the condition that they promise to behave well. For example, after serving 10 years in prison, he was granted parole and allowed to go home. He was released on parole after serving 2 years.
With your parole officer's approval, of course. With your parole officer's approval, of course.
Pat goes. He's on parole, thank God. Pat goes. He's on parole, thank God.
Vertical. Vertical. Vertical means straight up and down or at a right angle to the ground or horizon. For example, it wasn't easy to get the drunken man into a vertical position. In the cities, buildings and skyscrapers are made vertically.
Lost vertical control. We have lost vertical control.
It pulls the stern vertical and then finally detaches. It pulls the stern vertical and then finally detaches.
I mean, Paul Cole isn't a vertical kisser.
Multitude. Multitude. Multitude means a large number of people or things. For example, there was a multitude of options to choose from on the menu. A multitude of people gathered at the concert.
What a multitude of crops. What a multitude of crops.
Henry Ford himself called it a car for the great multitude. Henry Ford himself called it a car for the great multitude.
Nominate. Nominate. To suggest or choose someone for a position or award. For example, the committee will nominate 3 candidates for the job. My father was nominated for Employee of the Year.
I will nominate some scapegoats. I will nominate some scapegoats.
After careful consideration, we have decided to nominate the Honorable Chan Chin-wei as the new Prime Minister of Manchukuo.
Potential. Potential. Having the ability to become something or achieve something in the future. For example, the young athlete showed great potential on the basketball court. The startup has potential to become a successful business.
But it's got potential.
It's got potential. It's view. It's got potential. It's view.
Morgue. Morgue. A place where dead bodies are kept temporarily before they are buried. For example, the coroner took the body to the morgue for further examination. The parent went to the morgue to identify the body of their son.
Wambosi went to the morgue.
We are going to the morgue. We are going to the morgue.
The woman lying dead in the morgue.
Preoccupied. Preoccupied. Thinking about something a lot, such a way that you don't pay attention to other things. For example, she was so preoccupied with her work, that she didn't hear her phone alarm. He was preoccupied with his thoughts and didn't notice the time passing by.
I'm preoccupied. I'm preoccupied.
You've been so preoccupied, I'm almost ashamed to ask. You've been so preoccupied, I'm almost ashamed to ask.
Look, I am so sorry if I seem like I'm preoccupied with my relationship.
Upholstery. Upholstery. The process of covering chairs with material. For example, the upholstery on the couch was worn and needed to be replaced. The new upholstery on the chair made it look brand new.
Look at that upholstery. Look at that upholstery. That's the original upholstery.
Hey, watch that upholstery, it's my father's car. Hey, watch that upholstery, it's my father's car.
Indifference. Indifference. A lack of interest or concern about something. For example, his indifference to the news of the accident surprised his friends. She showed indifference towards Jack's proposal and didn't give him an answer.
Pitiless indifference. Pitiless indifference.
And almost as cruel as your indifference. And almost as cruel as your indifference.
Maintain. Maintain. Maintain means to keep something in a particular state or condition. For example, Jenny maintains her car by regularly checking the oil and changing the tires. The gardener maintains the garden by watering the plants and removing weeds.
Maintain your fields of fire. Maintain your fields of fire.
A good respiration system will maintain life for a while. A good respiration system will maintain life for a while.
Snob. Snob. To ignore or reject someone in a disrespectful manner. For example, Sarah felt hurt when her classmates snubbed her by not inviting her to the party. The celebrity snubbed the reporter by refusing to answer any of his questions.
But what good are snub fighters going to be against that? But what good are snub fighters going to be against that?
Endure. Endure. To be in a difficult or painful situation for a long time. For example, she can't endure being apart from me. Jack endured the boring lecture by doodling in his notebook.
I do not believe this darkness will endure. I do not believe this darkness will endure.
You won't be around to endure my maniacal reign. You won't be around to endure my maniacal reign.
Wrath. Wrath. Wrath means very great anger or rage. For example, there is no anger like the wrath of an angry bear. Some people saw the floods as a sign of divine wrath. Expose. Expose. Expose means uncover or to make something visible or known, especially something that was previously hidden or secret. For example, the report exposes the weaknesses of modern medical practice. I'm afraid I might expose my real feelings for her.
I'm going to expose you. I'm going to expose you.
I'm sorry to expose you like this. I'm sorry to expose you like this.
Legend. Legend. A traditional story or narrative that explains the origins or customs of a culture or society. For example, the legend of King Arthur tells the story of a mythical king in England. You will have heard the old legend about how the rocks were formed.
A legend all over Hong Kong.
That's kind of a legend.
His legend grows.
It's an urban legend.
Yeah.
Ponder. Ponder. To think about something carefully or deeply. For example, Sarah sat by the window, pondering her future career choices. After reading the book, John spent hours pondering the meaning of life.
Ponder that now. Ponder that now.
He doesn't know what to do with me. Ponder this.
Kick back and relax and ponder this. Kick back and relax and ponder this.
Resign. Resign. To voluntarily leave a job or position. For example, after many years of working at the company, Mark decided to resign and pursue his own business. My father resigned from the government last week.
How selfish to resign time like this.
If you resign, you can keep your tapes as a private citizen.
Drastic. Drastic. Severe or extreme inaction. For example, the company had to take drastic measures to reduce costs, including laying off many employees. In order to lose weight, Mike made a drastic change to his diet and he started exercising every day.
Nothing too drastic. Nothing too drastic.
Prefer drastic measures to rational ones. Prefer drastic measures to rational ones.
Wharf. Wharf. A structure built alongside the water where ships berth for loading and unloading goods. The fishermen docked their boats at the wharf and began unloading their catch. The cargo ship arrived at the wharf to deliver its containers.
But I moved it here from the wharf. But I moved it here from the wharf.
The best place to find broken dreams is down on the wharf. The best place to find broken dreams is down on the wharf.
Amend. Amend. To make changes to a document, law, or agreement. For example, the lawyer advised his client to amend the contract before signing it. The government amended the tax laws to provide relief to low-income families.
If you've nothing to add or amend, sign it. If you've nothing to add or amend, sign it.
We'll have to amend our reports.
But then I thought I might amend it. But then I thought I might amend it.
Ballot. Ballot. Ballot is a system of voting, usually in secret. For example, the party leader is elected by secret ballot. Workers at the plant held a ballot and rejected strike actions.
On the ballot. On the ballot. How many signatures does he need to get on the ballot? How many signatures does he need to get on the ballot?